the series, those battles. It was a lot of blowouts. It was 4 blowouts in the series, a couple of close ones. I think because of the styles, that's what you're more prone to have happen in a series like this, because they're two drastic styles of play in the way they do things. But all in all, it was entertaining. I think top to bottom, though, the Kings series was a better series.
Yeah. I think
style of quality of basketball, I mean.
Yeah, it was just more fun to watch, more competitive.
Yeah.
The games.
Competitive, there you
go. Look, another thing that, played into this that we talked about before the series that also became a factor was when he plays the Lakers in Staples or Crip, whatever, it's his worst shooting percentage in his career at that building against that team. Yeah. He was 11 for 38 from 3. 11 for 38. I don't even know if that's 30%. If it is, it's right around 30%. So he didn't shoot the ball well. Clay shot the ball well one game, game 2. 8 for 11 from 3, I believe. And then after that, he just couldn't get going. He just could not get going. I don't know if it was just one of those things where he's in a little bit of a slump, how much the defense played into it. I thought he got some really good looks. The fact that maybe he put a little bit too much pressure on himself playing the Lakers, grew up watching the Lakers.
3 and 19 for 8 points.
Yeah, he talked about Kobe and his admiration for him, and just I don't know. But Clay did not shoot the ball well. I don't know what he shot in the series. I'd have to go tally it up, but I don't know I'm going to do that because it ain't going to be pretty. Let me just look real quick. I can get you the game log, though. He had that one game. He was 11 for 18. Other than that, he was 9 for 25, 5 for 14, 3 for 11, 3 for 12, 3 for 19. So in the last 3 games, he was 9 for 42. 9 for 42. That's field goals. That's not even 3-pointers. 3-pointers.
He was bad on threes.
He was 7 for 27.
So of the 42 shots,
25%.
27. So of the 42 shots, 27 of them were threes.
Yeah.
And he made how many?
He made a grand total of 7. So it just wasn't his series. I can't. It's hard to explain why he just couldn't get him down. Because we all know once Clay hits a few, like he can catch fire and he can go. He just never got that. He never got it. Had it one game, that was it. Other than that, it wasn't enough. And look, we can talk about all the other stuff. Free throw disparity, the size, Anthony Davis in the middle, all that stuff. If those two guys aren't hitting threes, at least at a reasonable rate, they're not winning. That's kind of who they are. That's what they've been built on. Not just that, but a lot of it is those two hitting threes, hitting shots that other people do not take, hitting shots that other people do not hit. That's who they are, and they weren't that in this series. I don't know if the season finally caught up to them. Grueling 7-game series against the Kings caught up to them. Everything caught up to them. They just weren't the same guys. And, you go from one kind of emotional series against the Kings, who you've never played in the playoffs before, to the Lakers, who they haven't played since 91. So it was fun. I mean, I loved it, and I hope we get more of it next year. It was fun watching those teams battle against one another. I dug it. I mean, you get 90 miles Sacramento, and then you hope there would be a rivalry between the Lakers and Warriors at some point where they're both really good.
New matchups, it's great. This is a lot of fun.
At the same time. Yeah. So hopefully the Warriors are good back at it next year. The Lakers are back at it again next year, whether they win or not. And they're both really good again next year, and they meet up again in the playoffs because I know Warrior fans obviously are disappointed and would have liked to have won that. But that was fun. I mean, the games weren't great, but it was fun to be able to play the Lakers and both teams be good. And maybe next year they'll even be better, and they'll get a chance to go at it again. But that was fun. I've covered a lot of the playoff runs, and that was pretty cool playing the Kings and the Lakers.
It is fun to see some new matchups and new blood and new talent getting into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And the Lakers have a storyline there. They're looking to get back to the form they had a couple of years ago, winning in the bubble, and to prove that they can still do it. Right, you win one here, it almost legitimizes that one a little bit. Like Jimmy Butler, I think, has stamped his trip from 2020 in the bubble. Like, he's capable of this, where he can lose everybody around him on his team and say, you know what, we're going to the Eastern Conference Final. I am For Warrior fans, we'll talk about this too, and we'll get to your calls on the other side to see how you guys checking in on the phone lines and the text line 808 KNBR. But obviously, I think Warrior fans are sitting back going, anybody but the Lakers at this point. I don't care who it is. I'd probably have Denver as my third team I'm rooting for. I think it'd be great to see Jimmy Butler and the Heat get back there. It'd be cool. I think Eric Spoelstra's a great coach. You and I have joked for 2 years that we keep forgetting about the Miami Heat and how dangerous they are. And then you've got the Boston Celtics, who are looking to prove that they can get back to the finals like they did last year and have some unfinished business to attend to in the finals. It would be great after what Jason Tatum did in Boston yesterday. We'll get to your calls on the other side, 808 KNBR. Steve Kerr said he thought this team matched out this season. How would you define this season? We'll take your calls on this as well. What do they have to do to improve, but how would you define this season? Is it a disappointment? Did you believe this team was a championship caliber team? Your thoughts on that, and we'll get into what Steve Kerr had to say after the game and the series. On the other side, it's Tolbert and Copes. Michael Thompson joins us at 2:50, only here on the Sports Leader.
Be caller 10 to 415-896-KNBR for a chance to win a pair of tickets to see your Giants take on the Pirates Monday, May 29th. First pitch, 2:05. Presented by Toyota, the MVP of MPG. With class-leading MPG and more hybrids than any other brand, Toyota, let's go places.
Hey, Waterboy! You're fired! They're Tolbert and Copes, and they're back on The Sports Leader. Find us on Insta at KNBR on Instagram. This is KNBR 1045 at 680.
The Giants dropped 3.
I think this team probably, ultimately maxed out. I think, we were barely in the playoff picture for most of the year. So to make that push, to get there, to win an epic first-round series, and then, to give the Lakers, a a fight in this series and have our chances. That puts us in the top, among the top, 8 teams in the league. That's probably where we should be. This is not a championship team. If we were, we'd be moving on. You can look at the year in total and see all the ups and downs, and there was all kinds of stuff that went on and adversity that hit, but our group stayed together and competed till the end and made a pretty good run.
Tolbert and Copes is sponsored by Pacific Coast Termite, the trusted company that is rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Call Pacific Coast Termite at 1-800-PACIFIC. That's 1-800-PACIFIC. That was head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, talking about the season and the team that he had this year. And he said, basically, as evidenced, this is not a championship team. If they were, they'd be moving on. But he talked about sort of the struggles they went through, the ups and downs. And Derek and I, Tom, were talking before the show about how, did this team ever show you or prove to you that they had flipped that switch? You talked about it a few minutes ago. That it seemed like after every game, every time something went bad, they would say, well, we've got to be better. We've got to do X, Y, and Z. And everything that we thought went into their ability to get better was about what we'd seen them do in the past, their ability to bounce back and learn from mistakes and grow from adversity within the game and things that happen on and off the court. This year, I wouldn't say that they didn't grow from those. I don't think you win games on the road in Sacramento if you don't grow from those things. But they just weren't top to bottom, depth-wise, talent-wise, a championship team. I thought the honesty from Steve was sort of refreshing. I don't think you get coaches that frequently will say that. You'll get coaches that sometimes will be like, yeah, no, we sucked. And you get college coaches that are like, yeah, we weren't supposed to win that. You see us out there? We weren't going to win that game. Look at how bad we were. They'll trash their team as a way of motivation. This wasn't that. I think this was Steve just being honest about the struggles they went through and the talent they had.
Yeah, they never... I referenced it a lot this year. That last year they started off 18-2, 18-3. So they showed you a stretch of dominance, who they could be. They never showed that this year. Not once throughout the course of the season did they have a stretch, like 3 weeks of games. You're just like, that's a dominant team. That's the team that could win the championship. And that's what I was waiting for. And you never got that this year. Again, a lot of it was the road. The road was just a massive stumbling block for this team. You can't go on long win streaks when you win 11 road games. You just can't. So that was a huge problem.
Mathematically, by nature of the schedule. Right.
Yeah, the depth was a huge problem. Steph was out for a little bit. Wiggins was out for a large portion of the season. Wiseman was here, never really fit in. Then Peyton came, and Peyton was out for a while before he came back. So they never really had the team they had at the end that was healthy. But even that team was they're a good team. That's a really good team. And if things break right for you, you could be moving on. The margin for error is much smaller with this team this year. Steph is still Steph. Clay isn't quite Clay. Clay is still a really good player. He's just not what he was. He used to be the best two-way two-guard in the league.
It's a new normal. It's like after COVID, we got to get used to the new Clay. The new normal.
Yeah, just hands down. He was the best. Wiggins was kind of Wiggins when he was there, which is, I say every year, just go ahead and plug in 17.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, although I think he was at 5 this year. He actually bumped it up a little bit. Couple assists, steals, his regular really good defense. I thought Draymond was really good this year. Looney did some great stuff this year, but the bench never really found, DiVincenzo had some really nice moments and really nice stretches when they asked him to come in and start. I thought he played well. He'd be a guy I'd love to have back. I just don't know that that's going to be possible. Jordan Poole this year just didn't take a step. He's got to figure out how to streamline his game a little bit.
Did he take a step
streamline
back?
The game.
Or did he plateau a little bit? He's not
I don't know. I don't think he
plateaued.
plateaued. He just got to figure out now that he's a guy that people are looking at as a guy. They're going to do some stuff to take away some stuff that he used to find. I don't want to say easy, but he used to be able to maneuver and do certain things. And now the teams are going to go, no, we're game planning for you. You got to figure stuff out at that point. He's really got to learn how to compete defensively That's an issue with him. He just got to fight. He's got to get more of just a mentality of like, you're not going to kick my ass. It's not going to happen. I'm going to battle you. I'm going to fight you. I'm going to make you work when you're down here. He has to have that. Far too many moments this year, guys would blow by, and he was standing straight up. Like he just doesn't lower his ass enough sometimes. Like he's not getting down. He's standing straight up, and guys are just like blow. So he's got to learn how to do that. Kuminga had some moments. He just never quite understood like what was expected, what they needed of him. And look, dunks are great. Everyone loves dunks. Everyone loves athleticism. There's more to the game than that. There's far more to the game than that. And he needs to figure out how he can help a team win. The rebounding was embarrassing for a guy of his athleticism. Like, he's got to rebound better. He just has to. And then defensively, what I say with him all the time: rebound, run the court, defense. You'll get your 12, 13 points a game, and you're going to help the team win, because that's what the team – they don't have that. They don't have a rim runner quite like him. They do not. They do not have an athlete like him. They have rebounders like him, but he can pitch in. He can help. I mean, you look at his size and his athleticism, and then you look at, like, rebounds per minute versus Steph, you're like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Like, if Steph's getting more rebounds a minute than that guy? So he just got to figure out it's not all about the tornado moves and the jump shots and the dunks and the offense. Like, okay, how can I affect a game without scoring? That's what he's got to figure out. Moody was really good this year toward the end. It clicked at some point. It clicked, and he busted his ass out there. Like, he played hard. He did some of those things I was talking about, some of those things that they needed to have him do to help win games. So, I thought Gary was Gary. He's always going to be kind of the same guy. Defensively, he's just a menace, and offensively, he's going to have his limitations. But he can certainly be part of a winning team. There's no doubt about that. But they need more from the bench. So that's a decision they're going to have to make. Do we try and keep this kind of together, and hopefully these guys will grow? And then, because it's going to be harder to bring in anything other than minimum guys now.
Right. Yeah. With the price you're paying, I mean, if Clay's making $40 million.
Yeah, and if you're not a team
Draymond's
that's like
back.
the favorite to win the championship,
Why do those guys want to come at the minimum?
exactly. It's
They're
not
title
like,
chasing.
hey,
They're
we're-
ring chasing. It's what they're doing.
Yeah. If you're going to chase a ring, there may be better options for you to go somewhere else than to come here. So, or do they want to trade some of their young assets? Poole, Kuminga are the two guys that are mentioned. Okay, maybe you get better in the next couple of years. Maybe you have more vets that can help you win championships now. But you better, because in about 3 years, then you're going to be in trouble, because you're not going to have any young guys anymore. Just think about that. All the young guys they drafted, they're going to be gone, and they're just going to be left with aging veterans. And that, how that's going to go. That is going to go poorly, because you don't want this thing to come to the end of the era and then just go off a cliff and be the 20-win Warriors again. Like, that's the whole thing. That's Joe Lacob's whole thing, is to sustain and keep this thing going. And that was the vision. The vision was the whole 2 timelines thing, which didn't work. I didn't mind it at the time. I still, in theory, but you got to get the right young guys. The right young guys that can help you now and then help you more later. The young guys now, aside from Poole, have had a hard time really fitting in and helping right now and contributing right now. So, it's a decision. My decision would probably be give Steph the best chance to win a championship every year while he's here. You don't know when you're going to get these chances again. You don't know how good the young guys are going to be. You may be better after Steph, Clay, and Draymond retire, or when they're kind of over the hill a little bit. Maybe the last year of their contract, couple years, where they're good, but they're not great anymore. They're not like championship guys. Or do you say, screw it, let's just go all in now and roll the dice and see, and we'll figure out 3 years from now.
I think you've made that commitment. I think they've made that decision in the move away from James Wiseman this year. I think if you're going to commit to the team the way you did this season, I think that's kind of how you have to go about business this offseason.
Well,
But there's
they
so many
started
moving,
it.
There's so many moving parts. You still got Kuminga, to your point. You still have
they
Moody.
got Kuminga. They got
Poole.
Baldwin. They got Poole.
You got assets you can play with and make that, but you can make that choice this offseason. And I sort of think, and to your point, you've got to make that decision sooner than later because if you play out and Poole has another year like this or a step back or, I don't know, doesn't continue to improve in the way we thought he was going to improve, it's going to be much, one, harder to move him, and two, you don't have that weapon you thought you had in an asset to build around. Then he's not a young piece anymore, to your point.
Well, yeah, you hate to use it. I hate to always go back to the money thing, but this year he was only making over $3 million. So
right. It's why
for
next
$3
year
million,
is
he was still pretty damn good.
Yes. And
for
next year is
$30 million,
the
$30 million hurts a little bit. It's like, ooh, man. Because everything's tied to salary to some extent. If you play in a salary cap league, then everything is tied to salary. Not necessarily the money you make, but what percentage of the cap you're taking up. That's the whole thing. It's that people get too wrapped up into, oh, this guy's not worth $40 million, this guy's not worth $20 million, this guy's not worth... Yeah, but it's what percentage of the cap is he taking up? Is he worth 8% of the cap? Is he worth 20% of the cap? Is he worth 30? Is he worth 4? Like, what is he worth? Like, when you're making $30 million, you're taking up a lot of the cap, and you just got to be better. I mean, you have to be. And he wasn't that guy this year. So does he become that guy? He's still young and still has time to grow and still has time to change. So that's just something they're going to have to ask themselves. And then with all that, they got to figure out if Bob Myers is going to be back. He probably has a few weeks to decide because the draft is coming up. So I mean, they really went young though. I mean, you got like kids basically, right? I mean,
he was 19 years old.
Wiseman is a kid.
Yeah.
Kuminga's a kid. Baldwin's a kid.
Moody's a kid.
Moody's a kid. So I mean, you're trying to like say, okay, let's just have all these kids with all these vets, and hope it works out. Then it hasn't. I mean, they won last year, so let's not forget that. But I think the dream of just kind of smoothly transitioning into the next era has not worked.
Yeah, they're at a crossroads for sure, and it's not again just with the roster. It's going to be with Bob Myers as well. We've got to figure out. Somebody actually tweeted at us earlier today and asked, "What's the deal with Myers? Why is there speculation he wouldn't return?" Well, there were reports earlier this season throughout the year. We talked to Marcus Thompson about it that Bob Myers would like to be a top 3 paid GM, which I think everybody thinks he probably should be, maybe number one. And I don't know what the inner workings are in the relationship with he and Joe Lacob, but probably would serve everybody best if you could figure out a way to keep Bob Myers in the building at least for the remainder of this run.
Hey, can somebody give Bob some credit?
Yeah, I'd like to. Right? Somebody give Bob
Thank
some
you, Draymond.
And then today, what he was going to say this year is, can somebody give Bob some blanket money? But he's not.
Yeah, exactly. Get him some blanket money.
Somebody give Bob some money.
With Bob too, it goes so much further than money. Like for him,
this is
this is the stress of the job and just the demands of the job. And Bob is certainly not a guy who's defined by basketball. Like, he has so many other interests than just basketball. So it's something he's going to have to figure out, like, how much is doing this job, like, taking out of him. Because it takes a toll. There's no doubt.
And Tom, it's going until June. They're playing until July. I mean, think about all the years that he's been the GM. It's not like the season's ending in first week of April, and you're hitting vacation for a while, then you prep for the draft. They're finishing the season damn near every year, whether they're winning the finals or not. At the end of June or early July, we had the parade on Juneteenth last year, on June 19th. So they went the championship all the way up till mid-June. Then they turn right around like a week and a half later, and you've got the draft to worry about. I mean, it's a fast turnaround. It's a long haul. It's a grind. It's exhausting. And in the NBA, it's a lot of big personalities, too. I mean, it's a lot of what he's dealing with, and he's kept this thing together. But Draymond thinks this thing is still rolling. We will talk about all that with Michael Thompson on the other side. Bobby Marks joins us at 3:50 to talk more about some of that salary cap stuff. But let's talk to Michael Thompson, Clay's dad. On Friday night, Clay goes 3-19, 8 points. Game 6 was not the night for the Warriors. They lose by 21. They are eliminated for the first time in the playoffs under Steve Kerr. They had lost, of course, in the finals before, but first time they had been eliminated in the playoffs. Michael Thompson joins us next. It's Tolbert and Copes, only here on the Sports Leader. The Giants dropped 3 out of 4 games in Arizona against the Diamondbacks this weekend, including yesterday's 2-1 walk-off loss after a gem by Logan Webb. That story and more is trending on the all-new KNBR app.
Listen to the sports leader anywhere, anytime. Download the all-new KNBR app. Now, Tolbert and Copes continue live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Studio. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Always fun to talk to the two-time NBA champion, He caught me on World Champion last time, so I made sure I made that adjustment for him. He is actually right. Former number 1 overall pick, and most importantly in these parts, Klay Thompson's dad. Michael Thompson joins us. Michael, what's going on, man?
Oh, I always got to correct you. You have such a short memory. It's 9-time, soon to be 10-time champion.
No, you're 2-time as a player. That's all that counts.
No, it doesn't.
Yep.
How do you explain that Chick Hearn had 10 rings, so they don't count?
Nope, I got 2. I don't count them.
They count. Are they real?
No, I don't. I didn't play.
Are they a figment of your imagination?
I didn't play. I don't even know where they are. I think I know where they are. I'm not positive though.
Where do you guys come down on defending champion? It's like, would you have said the Warriors? I mean, they're the defending champs, but I always laugh at that. Like when you get to the playoffs, different teams. We've seen a whole season of them again. I know we still say it, but where do you come down on defending champs? How long does that last?
That is a silly term in team sports because you're not the defending champion. When you are a boxer and you get in the ring every time, you are a defending champion because you're defending your crown. But the crown the Warriors won was last year, so they weren't defending anything because everybody's playing for a new crown this year.
Correct.
I'm with you.
And it could be a totally different team, too.
That's right.
Which makes it kind of funny.
Tom was defending his rings this year.
I was defending my ring. How tough was this series for you? Because I know how much you love the Lakers, and obviously you love your Suns. So was it tough to call?
Oh, yeah, very tough because you want a player to be happy. You want them to be successful, even though at the expense of my team and the team that I support and love and played for and continues to employ me. But yet, Clay is my son, so I wanted him to be successful, like any parent wants their child to be successful. So I was very sad for him that when he wasn't able to win the series. Happy the Lakers won for the Laker fans, the Laker Kingdom, of course, but sad for Clay and the Warriors.
He obviously didn't shoot the ball well in this series, and look, stuff like that could happen throughout the course of a regular season, but it gets magnified in the playoffs. I was just curious. You might know this better than I. How much pressure did he put on himself to play well in this series? I know he always does. He loves basketball and it's the playoffs, but being that it was the Lakers and the team he grew up rooting for and getting to play him in the playoffs, do you think he put any more pressure on himself?
No, I don't think so. Obviously, it would have meant a lot to him to beat the Lakers because that was his childhood team. But no, all these playoff situations from round 1 to round 4, they're all pressure filled. And they're all equal pressure, just like in round 1 as they are in the finals, because you got to make shots to win. So there's pressure in every series, not just because you're playing against one particular team.
How much of it's funny, Michael, because you look at this season and basically it was magnified. Who these teams were became magnified in the playoffs against each other because one team obviously controlled the paint, the Lakers. One team got to the free throw line, the Lakers. One team shot the ball better from the outside, the Warriors. The Lakers were able to match them a couple of times, but just the inside dominance of this series appeared to prove too much for the Warriors.
And that's what I feared for the Warriors in the Laker matchup against Sacramento, against Memphis without Steven Adams, and Steven Adams is not much of a scorer anyway. But against teams, even Phoenix, finesse teams like that, I knew the Warriors would have no problems with those kind of teams. But a big, physical, strong team like the Lakers who have strong wings, who can get to the basket and score in the paint, from LeBron to Anthony Davis to Austin Reeves, all these guys are big and strong, and they can get to the basket and know how to score in the lane. Even D'Angelo Russell, I knew that would be a problem for the Warriors because they weren't big in the paint to defend the basket.
Yeah.
Talking to Michael Thompson on the UMA guest line. Tom and I were talking earlier about how, of all the buildings in the NBA, Steph struggles in LA more than anywhere else. At Staples, Crypto.com, whatever it's called, that place he struggled more than anywhere else he's ever played. Have you experienced that with other good shooters in your time calling games, or even when you played there? People roll in there and struggle to knock down shots, or there's a learning curve. Is that something you see frequently in that building, or is it just something unique to Steph, you think?
No, I don't think it's unique to Steph. A lot of guys struggle when they come to L.A. because the spotlight's so big, and they want to play so well here because it is the brightest stage in basketball in the world. I know you got Madison Square Garden, you got Boston, you got the Chase Center, but the brightest spotlight in basketball is in L.A. when you play against the Lakers, the most storied franchise in all of team sports. Okay, right up there with the Yankees and the Celtics too. So guys, when they come to L.A., they want to put on a good show, and sometimes maybe they try too hard.
You know, it's interesting. You mentioned the spotlight, and I thought about this, Michael, because he doesn't have the same numbers when he plays the Clippers in LA, but the Lakers have this spotlight literally on the court. They have the court spotlighted like a boxing ring, and around it is dark. The Clippers aren't able to do that, and I've always wondered, I've never asked him this, I wondered if that has any bearing on his shooting, the fact that that's one of only a few courts, maybe the only court in the league, that has the spotlight on the court, and the seats are all kind of in some state of darkness.
No, I don't think so. I've seen Steph and Clay have great shooting nights in Crypto.com Arena now, but used to be Staples Center. Remember, Clay had 10 straight threes at one time he made in Staples Center at the time. So, and I've seen Steph go off there in big-time playoff games too, and Kevin Durant. So, no, the background, if anything, the background helps you with the darkened background because that makes the rim stand out more.
No, but it doesn't help him. That's my point. When he plays the Lakers, that's his worst shooting percentage of any arena in the league, period. And it's been like for years now. So don't tell me I'm wrong on this. You can correct me on the other stuff. Don't correct me on this one. I'm right on this one.
Yeah, but I never heard that theory before, so that's the first time I'm hearing that.
See, you didn't hear it before because you never came to me before. You see, outside the box thinker is what you get when you get with me.
Yeah, that makes no sense because if the background is darkened, that makes the rim easier to see. So that makes no sense.
Nah, well, I'm just telling you the facts, man. I just spew facts, Michael. That's all I do. You do with them what you want to do with them. I spew facts.
That's right. That's why I got 9 rings to your 2.
I know I have none. You have 9. I got 0. We're talking to Michael Thompson. He calls the games for the Lakers. Let's get to the Nuggets series. First off, the obvious question: how do you see the matchup between Jokic and Davis? Because that is going to be fun.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, the good as Jokic is, what is it? It's a Jokic or is it Jokic?
Jokic.
You sure? Because John Ireland, my broadcast partner, says it's Jokic with a hard J. So what is it?
I think it's Jokic, but I can look it up for you. But you know what? I could be wrong, but I always say Jokic.
Well, if it's Jokic, then why don't we call him the Joker and not the Joker?
Well, because that would be dumb. He'd be named after eggs. That wouldn't be a good nickname at all.
Yeah, I've heard Jokic, I've heard Jokic, but John Ireland insists that it's Jokic. But as far as the matchup is concerned, Anthony Davis is the one player that gives him the most trouble out of all his matchups. He makes him, because Anthony Davis is very athletic, very long, and he's very like he can move quicker and he can make Jokic have to adjust his shot. So if anybody's going to give Jokic a little trouble in the middle, it's going to be Anthony Davis.
According to Basketball Reference, it is Jokic with a Y. Jokic is the
See, there you go. That's what I've been trying to tell my partner John Ireland, but he insists it's a hard J.
Tell him he's wrong, okay?
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Jogging or yogging.
Although, I will say this, Michael, because I know sometimes, so when you're calling games, for those that don't know, John Ireland, he works with him, and when you're doing games, you don't want to keep saying the name differently than your play-by-play. It sounds ridiculous when you're doing that, so it's like, well, do I say it the way I think it's, or do I go with that so it sounds better so we keep calling him the same name?
Yeah, maybe we should ask Scott Hastings, who calls every game for him. Maybe I'll go to him and ask him what is he calling.
That would be a good idea.
Well, does John Ireland say Giannis or Giannis?
He says Giannis.
Interesting.
Got that
interesting.
one right.
No consistency here, see?
Yeah. Right.
If I even said Giannis and he used one hard G on it.
I mean, if Tom was in France, he'll be Tom Tolbert.
Tolbert. It could have been a hockey player. Save Tolbert. Oh,
or a winemaker.
No, I don't like wine. Talking to Michael Thompson. I don't like wine. No, that's not my problem at all.
That's your problem. He's right. Yeah, it's one of them.
All I drink is beer. That's it. That's the only alcoholic beverage I drink. Period.
I got to get you a bottle of Diamond and Key Clay's wine. That'll turn you into a wine drinker. That is so good.
No, it won't. I don't like wine. I don't like the flavor of wine. It doesn't do it for me. So you know what? There's enough wine drinkers out there, Michael. You don't need to add one more.
So if you were a disciple, you'd be the only one at the Last Supper drinking water.
Well, I wouldn't be at the Last Supper.
Jesus, like I didn't bring. He's like, I didn't bring any beer, Tom.
You know where I'd be? I'd be at the pub. That's where I'd be. Grabbing a beer and playing darts. How's that?
Not if Jesus invited you to dinner. You got to show up if you're one of the disciples.
Yeah, that's going to happen. That's going.
Tom's like, I'm a Roman soldier. I'm not a disciple. Tom's out there.
That's true, because if you were a disciple, you would have been Judas.
Yeah, that's hey, wow. You went there. Jeez, that's
right.
Rough.
20 silver.
That's okay. See, when you don't believe in any of it, you don't got to worry about that kind of stuff.
I'll do it for 10. I'll do it for 10 pieces of silver. Yeah, he's undercutting Judas. I'll do it for cheaper.
Right.
Does Vanderbilt? And I love Vanderbilt. I love him a lot. He didn't have quite a fit in this series. It was a tough fit for him, but I think I'm a big fan of his. Does he have a better fit in the Denver series? Maybe matching up with Gordon.
Oh, yeah. He's going to definitely be used a lot. I don't know who knows if Darvin Ham will put him back in the starting rotation, but he's going to definitely be used against Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, when we beat the Nuggets, head on to hopefully Miami, but if not Miami, then Boston. He's definitely going to be used against Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Is that
I can't believe I'm hearing that from you. Like, I want if Denver doesn't win, I want you guys to play Boston. That's in your heyday.
You don't want to beat them?
In my heyday.
You don't want to see him and take him down?
No, I was thinking about it. We've been talking about that. Me and John Ireland and other people in the traveling party. When the Lakers win this series, where do we want to spend a week, in Miami or Boston?
Okay,
now,
that's a good point.
Boston, that's
a good
Boston
point.
For history.
I can't argue that. Can't argue.
Of course,
yeah.
but Miami for location. So, and plus Miami's 30 minutes from the Bahamas. Now I want to go to Miami for that week.
Yeah.
Baby.
Okay. I know. I've talked to enough broadcasters, Michael. All broadcasters root for themselves, and I totally appreciate. I totally appreciate that.
It's all about the hotel and locations in the finals. That's what's most important.
There is no doubt. Have you seen LeBron in the first two rounds? Kind of. He's not what he was, but he can be for short bursts of time. Like Game 6, you could just tell he was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what we need me to do, and I'm going to get out there and kick ass for as long as I can. But how have you seen him kind of trust his teammates more this year and kind of bring it in spurts where maybe he can't bring it for 40 minutes, but he can bring it for a good 20, 25 or whatever he has to?
Yeah, he really, after they made the big trade at the trading deadline, he felt like he really has a bunch of guys around him that he can trust and depend on now, night in and night out, where he doesn't have to put the team on his back or be the second best player out there next to Anthony Davis. Sometimes guys like Lonnie Walker stepped up in the playoffs, and of course, Austin Reeves had his moments from time. Dennis Schroeder off the bench, Rui Hachimura tied my record for points off the bench. So he's had other guys step up from time to time consistently to help him out. You could tell in Game 6 against the Warriors, he had that look in his eyes, like we are ending this tonight. We're not going back to San Francisco. So he still has those moments. Michael,
give us a Hallmark movie that best fits this Warrior-Lakers series, now that it's all said and done.
Well, let's see. I have so many Hallmark movies out there. I would say, let's see, which one which would suit the series we just went through. How about Dying for Chocolate? Like a Colorado caterer just thrust into the role of town sleuth to solve a friend's mysterious demise. That's what kind of happened with the Warriors, with their mysterious demise, and they're trying to figure out why that happened. So I guess the Warriors would be in the Dying for Chocolate Hallmark movie. There's just one kiss. There's a movie, Just One Kiss. That's a romance between a maid and the butler. The romance has to continue with the core players for the Warriors, so let's hope that continues. And of course, there's a tale of love, where Bella, who has a dog rescue business, falls for a caring soldier, and so the Warriors are going to revive themselves and get back and rescue their championship hopes next year.
Do they need to part with some players, or can they just run it back as is and expect to compete for a championship?
Oh yeah, the Warriors are fine, man. Steph is still Steph. Clay's had a great season despite his last 3 games. Draymond Green is still a big-time, all-time defensive player. Now, the young players are developing. Moses Moody looked good in the playoffs. DiVincenzo had a good playoff run. Jonathan Kuminga has has to turn into Sean Marion next year. He has the ability, he has the skills, and he has the talent. He has to raise his level up to Sean. You guys remember Sean Marion with the Suns?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I see Kuminga play with that lively body of his, he reminds me of Sean Marion. So he needs to get to that level. Not quite an all-star, but a solid player. He is the key. If Kuminga can raise himself up to that level, the Warriors will be right back in the championship picture because Wiggins is only getting better. Poole will be better next year, and Looney is just a phenom out there. Things he does night in and night out. He's like the AC Green for the Warriors. The way he never misses a game, does all the dirty work, all the little things to help you win championships. So the Warriors are fine. People got to stop panicking and think just because they lost to a team who I believe is going to win the title, that doesn't mean the Warriors are done. They're a long way from being done.
I thought you were going to mention your Hallmark movie, The Last Tupperware Affair. It's a guy who looks like Jesus who invites everybody over for Last Supper, and then they have so many leftovers they don't know what to do with them. And they have this Tupperware, and then there's an affair in there. It's just, you got to watch it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I got to download that. I'm going to look that up right now.
You and your damn Hallmark movies.
That's right, buddy.
Is there one you...
But you got to get in touch with your feminine side. You just can't watch shoot 'em up, car chasing, nudie movies. You got to expand your nudie movies. You got to expand you got to expand your viewing. Stop trying to prove your manliness by watching Neanderthal type movies.
Yeah.
You have no idea what I watch. You have no idea what I watch. Do you watch Succession on HBO?
No, everybody talks about it, but no, I don't watch it because I'm too busy watching my Hallmark and Lifetime movies.
What about Prime Video? Do you got Prime Video?
Oh, yeah, I got all that. I mostly download World War II movies. I'm fascinated with World War II, World War I movies. But you know the movie series that really bugs me, and I just don't understand why people put up with it? The Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not a fan.
I drive around, and I'm 10 miles over the speed limit, and I get pulled over by cops. These guys are driving 1,000 miles an hour through streets and not a highway patrolman in sight. How is that possible?
I don't know. I'm with you. I go 8 miles an hour with the speed limit and I get caught.
Yeah.
Not good. Yeah, not good. But I'm with you. I love. Did you watch the on Netflix? It was like the remastered World War II. It was like a 10 episode.
It's a History
thing
Channel documentary that they redid in color. Yeah, I've seen it.
It was good. That was pretty. That was cool.
Did you see the German version of All Quiet on the Western Front? You got to watch that.
I did. It was really good. It was hard to watch. It wasn't a feel good movie.
No,
let's put it that way.
It just tells you how horrible war is, and we should never have another war.
It's brutal. It really is. Like I watched that, and it was like, there are times you're like, God, this is hard to get through. It's tough.
I know, man. I felt so bad for the soldier, too. Spoiler alert. The poor guy, he survived all that time and gets killed at the end. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know. Go watch it anyway. It's still good.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, don't let me spoil it for you. It's still worth watching.
It ain't get killed at the beginning. It's the end. You can get through some adventure first before you get to that final.
Fantastic.
Final scene.
That had some shoot 'em up for you.
Yeah, but see, that's realistic stuff. That's history. We're watching history. I don't mind that stuff. But that's fantasy crap you watch. Come on, you got to grow up.
Again, you don't know what I watch. You have no idea. Like, I don't know. You probably think I watch the Transformers, don't you?
Probably Transformers, Iron Man, and stuff, the Marvel movies, stuff like that. You know, let the little boy and you come out.
Marvel movies aren't bad. I like Marvel movies. Nothing wrong with those.
Yeah, you probably go home and play with your little marble toy dolls. You put them together, they fight each other.
Toy dolls? What are you
talking about? What's going on?
We got to get out more. We got to get you in the gym, man, and turn you back into a man.
No. So, hold on a minute. I'm watching like manly type movies according to you. I'm watching shoot 'em up movies. I'm watching nudie movies, which is like
you're playing with dolls. Also,
I haven't used the word nudie in like forever. Nudie movies. The kids call them porn nowadays. Michael, in case you're wondering what they call those type of movies. But I'm not manly enough, so I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I need to do some diversifying.
See, because a real man is okay to be in touch with his feminine side. You refuse to see that side of him.
No, I can. You know what? Next time I see you, we'll sit down and watch The Notebook together. How about that?
Yeah. Why don't you download these 3 movies? Made for
Okay.
Revenge from Lifetime, The Pregnancy Promise, and Abducted on Prom Night. Watch those three, and you'll become more of a man.
No, that's enough.
The Pregnancy Promise is going to do it. That's the one.
That's right.
That's what you got to understand, Tom, what they're going
No,
through.
I actually had a tech guy from Xfinity come out and remove the Hallmark Channel from my box.
What?
I can't even
Oh,
get it
come
if
on.
I wanted it.
That's ridiculous.
That's like you too. It's like they snuck in and they like embedded it into your TV,
Yeah,
like into your
exactly.
phone, like when they put that album there, nobody can get rid of.
I
Same
told them
sort of
take it
thing. You
out.
get them. You can get the Pregnancy Promise
I
when
get it.
Lucy and Sky become pregnant at the same time, creates a rift, Tom.
Hallmark movies give us hope, Tova, because it shows us that there's still hope for love out there for people.
Nah, they give me the runs. Okay, so I'm not gonna watch. I'm not watching any Hallmark
Tongue gets
movies.
gas, yeah.
Hey, it's always fun catching up with you, Michael. Best of luck against the Nuggets. That's going to be a hell of a series. I can't wait to start watching that tomorrow night.
Yeah, call me in late June after I get my 10th ring here.
Okay, well, I'll do that. Have a good one, Michael.
I'll be one away from Bill Russell at the end of June.
Yep, those are totally equal, right there.
Right.
Maybe you can pose on Sports Illustrated with all your rings like Bill Russell did that one time.
That's a brilliant idea.
Insane, dude. That'd be insane.
That would be incredible.
That'd be so fun.
Have a good one, Michael.
Michael.
All right,
take it.
It's Michael Thompson. One of the best hits, dude. He just comes on and just trashes you for no reason. Just decides
It's hilarious.
Just decides
Yeah.
puts you in a box and you're not getting out of it.
That
That was a pretty good
Nudie
line,
movie.
dude. You're
Can't watch shoot 'em up car chasing nudie movie.
Hell yeah, dude. What genre is that?
That's so ridiculous.
Shoot 'em up, car chasing, nudie movies. 808
Nudie
KNBR.
movies.
What's your favorite?
Yes.
What's
your favorite in that genre?
Oh, dude, yeah. 707 on the text line says Clay's dad went full Don Rickles on Tom. He
That's
started roasting you. You couldn't do anything about it.
That's
He
hilarious.
said roasting Tommy's nudie smut tapes. It's pretty
Or as
good.
my buddy used to call them when he was in high school, he called them golf movies. I go, why'd you call them golf movies? He goes, I hid him in my golf bag so my mom wouldn't find out.
Yeah, golf movies. Those are my golf tapes,
movies.
Mom. I watch my swing after every round. I like to bring them
That's
home and
hilarious.
evaluate my swing path, Mom. My golf tapes. It's like when you hide everything in your taxes folder on your desktop. Those aren't taxes.
Exactly.
Those aren't taxes, folks. Nobody saves that
aren't taxes.
stuff. All right, we'll get back into some of the broader NBA stuff on the other side. Lots of news across the NBA this weekend. Mark Jackson, JJ Redick are finalists for a head coaching position. You've got John Morant, who's now been suspended again indefinitely by the Memphis Grizzlies after yet again flashing a gun on Instagram this weekend. We can talk about all that, and the Suns have moved on from Monty Williams after being eliminated from the playoffs by the Nuggets. We will catch up with Bobby Marks of ESPN at 3:50 and talk about where the Warriors go this offseason. If you missed any of Michael Thompson, check it out on the all-new KNBR app, and we are streaming live on the KNBR app. 808 KNBR is a number to call and text. Tolbert and Copes, only here on the Sports Leader.
Nudie movie.
Giants pitcher Anthony DeSclafani left Saturday's game after feeling discomfort from an earlier injury from dropping a piano bench on his toe. That story and more is trending on the all-new KNBR app.
Catch KNBR at your crib on your Amazon Echo smart speaker. Now back to Tolbert and Copes on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
If what appears to be a gun in that video and the league finds out that this is not a doctored video, that this isn't some sort of enhancement, you have to say that first, because we're assuming we know what it appeared to be with our eyes. But if that is indeed a gun in his hand, he's facing a significant suspension.
What if it was an enhancement, like a phony gun? Like he's gonna put him? I mean, well, I won't put it past him to get himself in trouble, get himself suspended for having a phony gun. I don't even know what an enhancement means other than phony gun. Look, this guy clearly told everybody what he thought they wanted to hear last time. That's it. Period. Learn my lesson. Got to grow up. Got to whatever he said. He just knew what everybody wanted to hear, and he wanted to get back to playing. This guy has learned nothing. 2 months. 2 months. And he did the same thing. So now, if you're the NBA, you've already suspended him 8 games. He's going to have to, I would, if it were me, it would be suspend him until New Year. Suspended for 2.5 months. And then I would make him go to mandatory classes during the summer. He's got plenty of time now since their playoff run ended prematurely. But if you're Memphis, you have to be really concerned. Really concerned. Because apparently the guy he was in the car with is the same guy that got banned from FedEx Arena for shooting the laser into the Pacer bus.
Oh, good.
And this guy's still apparently hanging around with him, if that's the same guy.
Yeah, they banned him from the arena, and John Morant was said to be in that vehicle when he shot the laser in, and I think the NBA investigated. And the issue here is that there's all these incidents that are not isolated incidents that are clearly related, that the NBA has said, well, there's nothing that we can look at concrete except for the video that he had the last time. And that one, even to me, I know he met with Adam Silver. They say, well, he didn't bring the gun onto a team plane. And I'm like, so he either got it from a friend there and was waving it around, or had to have brought it onto a team plane. I don't know how you prove he didn't do that.
All I know is he's making a lot of poor choices. Bad. And that's rough when you want to make that guy the face of your franchise. You don't want that. Like, look, I'd say you like somebody like Steph, but there's not that many guys out there.
Giannis, those guys are rare,
Giannis is the same guy. Like, you don't have to worry. LeBron. You've never heard of LeBron.
Embiid doesn't go out. Embiid like sits in his hotel room and plays video games on the road. Yeah. Like, he's not a partier. He's not. I believe that's a.
You can't have this guy though. You can't have this guy be the face of your franchise when you just never know. He's proving that his decision making is poor. I mean, this 2 months. It didn't take him a full season. It took him 2 months to do it again. The same thing that he got in trouble for, not something different. Not something that there may be a little confusion, like, oh, I can't do that, now I can't do that. No, you did the same exact thing.
I can't wave a gun in a car. I can't do it in a nightclub.
Exactly.
Not in a nightclub and a car now.
Yeah, exact same
Where can I wave a gun?
It's just amazing. What this, and he's still hanging. I didn't have to do this. I didn't grow up. I don't know where he grew up. I don't know who grew up in lower income. I have no idea. I didn't have to make decisions on my friends. And I didn't have to sit my friends down and say, look, we can't do that anymore. I'm in the NBA, can't do that. Although I did have to have a talk with him one time for eating chicken wings and throwing them underneath the table. That wasn't cool. But I've never had to say, look, I can't hang around you if you're going to do this. I've never had to have that conversation. But
it's chicken.
Thank you. You're a brand now. Like, this is the big leagues, brother. This is the NBA. There's a lot of money at stake, not only for you, but for the teams and for the league. And that kind of stuff, you're just going to have to make a decision. Either people want to be with you in a new capacity, or then they're just not going to be with you. And at some point, you got to be man enough to make that decision. Like, this is my career. This is my life. This is how I have to go about it. I can't keep doing this stupid ass crap anymore. We're not kids. I'm not a gangster. And I don't want to hear anything this time about, well, yeah, I learned, and I just no. You had that chance.
Go play intramurals, brother.
Thank you. I think the public at least gave you that chance last time. Like, okay, you know what? It does a dumb mistake. He's gonna learn from it, gonna grow. No, 2 months later, did the exact same thing. So now it's like, no, I don't want to hear it anymore. We got to see it. And if I'm the NBA, I am so furious, so furious. Again, he got 8 games. That's got to at least be doubled. For me, it would be through the new year. Like, this one's got to be something that's harsh enough to resonate with him. Because that one didn't resonate at all. That didn't stick at all. So they got to figure out, like, okay, we got to make this one hurt.
And they give him time served. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was like initially, I think he'd missed like 5 or 6 games, and then I think they said it was like 8, and so he had to do 2 more or something like that. It wasn't nearly as long as we had thought it would be for something like that. I mean, Gilbert Arenas was virtually blacklisted in the league after his incident. Who was it? Javaris Crittenton? Is that who that was with in the locker room?
Javaris Crittenton, very good, yes.
With the guns in the locker room. I mean, it's something the NBA needs to come down hard on and make sure that this doesn't happen because, as you point out, he's the face of a franchise. The NBA is, I think, the NFL, it happens, but the NBA is different because you know what guys look like. Guys are recognizable. Like, the players themselves are that brand and that entity, like you're talking about. Draymond Green Industries. These guys build their own brand with themselves and what they can do on the court. We associate a lot of times individual superstar players with organizations. John Morant, to me, you think John Morant, everybody thinks Memphis Grizzlies. Everybody knows what team that guy plays for. And while he's not at the level of a Steph or a Tim Duncan or a Kobe, guys who have cemented themselves in organizations' histories, you're carrying the mantle for a team that is on national TV a lot right now. And as one of our texters says, I got to get the guy's area code ready. He says, it's bad when Dylan Brooks isn't the biggest idiot on your team. That's from the 209. It's a good call because Dylan Brooks it's like, shut up, man. But I'll take his nonsense over this 8 days a week.
Yeah, that's got to be the think about that backcourt. Like, I'd unplug if I was a GM. I'd unplug my phone when I got home. I wouldn't want to get phone calls after I left the office. Don't call me. I do not want to know. Nope. I just want to go in there the next day. Yeah, I mean, that's why I said 3 years ago, I was like, oh, this team's coming. This team is that team is going to be hard to deal with. Now, one guy, they said he will not come back under any circumstances, which I've never heard before. I've never heard a team
You're gonna bring him back
put that disclaimer on there. We're not bringing him back under any circumstances.
The good news is you're fired.
You mean like, what if like a couple guys on the team like,
no,
I don't know,
did you hear
die
I said
or
under
something?
zero circumstances that we bring him back?
We don't care. We'll shut down the league before we bring you back.
We'll forfeit games. I won't field the team. Right.
You're not coming back. We will play with 14. You are not coming back under any circumstances. Period. And then you have your point guard who's out here flashing guns like he's a 18-year-old wannabe gangster, hanging out with his boys. Like, I don't know why they think it's cool. I don't get it, but whatever. The league very clearly said it's not cool. That is not cool. We don't want that to be a part of the league, okay? That's what they tried to make that point clear. You said what you knew everybody wanted to hear, left it at that, and then 2 months later you did it again. It really is unbelievable. When I saw that, I was like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way this guy did that 2 months after he did it the first time. Yes, he did. I was wrong. And with the guy, apparently, that shot the laser into the pace. It's like, look, you keep hanging around with these guys, this will keep happening. What do they stand to lose? It's not their job, not their career.
Yeah.
They're just hanging out, and they got money now because you got money. They got access now because you have access. Again, he's gonna either have to grow up, or this will keep happening over and over and over again. So, when I saw that, I was like, oh, come on, there's no way. Couldn't be that dumb, could he?
Yep. Yes,
Again, I don't know if he's
yeah.
a dumb guy, but he's doing dumb stuff, and
How do
dumb
you get
people
suspended when
usually
your
do a lot of dumb things.
How do you get suspended when your team's not even playing? That's what got me. Is I woke up, Sasha broke the news to me. Like, it's rare when
Said, don't come to the facility. Leave us alone.
She goes, yeah, John Morant got suspended, and I was like, yeah, it was earlier. She goes, no, he gets suspended again, and I said, how could you get suspended again? You're not even playing. Like it's like being on weekend.
Well, it's like you got thrown out of a game when it's over.
The game was over, yeah.
See?
Game
Very similar.
Game doesn't end until I leave the field. Yeah, John,
See?
it doesn't matter you're in the offseason. You still can't.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I thought that was just an in-season rule that you couldn't wave guns. Yeah, this is ridiculous. And somebody else in the text line said 408 says, don't forget, he blamed his anxiety and stress on his behavior. It's just a slap in the face to people who are dealing with that. All of us get stressed and go to strip clubs and bring guns. That's usually what you do to get over it. We will get to your thoughts and calls on the other side as well. 808 KNBR, people are checking in and texting in all day long, and I see you hanging there on the phone lines. 808 KNBR if you want to get involved in your thoughts on the season the Warriors just had and the offseason that they have ahead of them. Maybe the most tumultuous potential offseason or biggest question marks for one team since the 99 Bulls. I don't know if we've seen anybody go into an offseason with so many questions on their roster in about 25 years. It's been like that long. Draymond Green's up in the air whether or not he'll be back. There's now reports about Poole and Kuminga and potentially their future being moved to another organization. Clay could be asked to take a pay cut. But does any of this get settled before Bob Myers figures out his future with the Warriors? We'll talk about all that and your thoughts. Would you call this season I know Giannis wouldn't. Would you call it a disappointment? Was it a failure? Or did you expect this is kind of what this team was going to cap out at, a loss in Game 6 to the Lakers on Friday night? Tolbert and Copes, a big offseason ahead, only here on the Sports Leader.
Listen to the Sports Leader anywhere, anytime. Download the all-new KNBR app. We are your proud home of 49ers football. KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM.
With his contract expiring at the end of June, Bob Myers told me last night that he plans to take a couple of weeks to make a decision about his future running the Golden State Warriors. And it's a decision that he said he is torn about, I think in large part because of his relationships, he said, with the core three of Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson and his coach Steve Kerr. 4 championships under Bob Myers, and an organization where he just carries a tremendous amount of weight, respect. You heard all the key players, their coach, talk about how badly they want Bob Myers back. But right now, Bob Myers is uncertain whether he'll do another contract with the Warriors.
As Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN talking about Bob Myers' future and this offseason for the Warriors. Tom, is it as simple as if Bob Myers wants to come back, he'll be back? Like, I can't imagine that Joe Lacob is saying, no, we don't want you back, but it's going to have to be obviously negotiated terms. But if Bob Myers wants to come back and he said he's going to take some time, is it just his job to come back and say, yeah, I'm coming back. I've earned this, and the organization is not walking away from him? Is that your impression?
Yeah. He's going to decide whether he wants to come back or not. The contract will work itself out.
Okay.
I don't think that will come between him and staying the president of basketball ops for the Warriors. Just does he want to do it? Does he feel like he's given enough? Does he feel like he wants to do something else? I think, again, and I touched on this earlier, he's not defined by basketball. I don't think he views himself as a basketball lifer. He has a lot more interests and a lot more curiosities that maybe he wants to explore. So I don't think it's a money thing. Now, money means respect when you're talking sports, but I think they could get to that. I don't think that would be that much of an issue. But it's just, does he feel the passion? Does he feel the drive to get up every morning and do this job? That is a very demanding job.
It is. There's a lot of things that have to be ironed out. Klay said he still wants to be a max-paid player, believes he is that type of player. I don't know if the Warriors are going to believe that and if he'd be willing to take a pay cut to make this thing stick together. And who knows? I mean, last year at the end of the season, it seemed like Draymond had way more animosity or was way more staunch and getting some big thing ironed out, and then things play out and opinions change and situations change, and maybe he feels like now, after losing that one, he wants to be back and will make this thing work out. Who knows what happens, but Bob Myers is obviously one of the big ones. 808 KNBR is the phone number to call and to text in. 209 on the text line says, yeah, John Morant got fired like on his day off. That's a tough deal. Richard is in Napa. Richard wants to talk Warriors and maybe their downfall of this series. What's going on, Richard? You're on the Sports Leader.
How you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Fabulous. I actually wanted to give Tommy T a little ribbing,
Yeah.
Everybody else is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can take it.
Tommy, it takes a lot of good beer to make good wine. And
well, then good. Enjoy all my good beer then.
I tell you, Michael Thompson, Clay's wine is really, really, really good.
Is it? I would imagine it is. You know what? I've never found a wine that I've really liked. I can tolerate them, but my whole thing is, why would I get wine when I like beer better? It just, I'm easy to please. That's all I want is a nice, good beer, and I'm solid. Everybody enjoy their wine. Everybody I know loves wine. Everybody I know drinks wine. We live in one of the greatest wine regions of the world.
Yes, we do.
But I don't drink wine. I don't drink hard liquor. I don't drink spritzers or coolers or any. I just beer is it. That's all I drink.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Thanks,
I
man.
appreciate it. No, I'm excited. We were bummed about this year, but it wasn't meant to be. And I think everybody's going to come back. Maybe a few changes. We'll see. They're a championship caliber team for sure.
I think you're keeping the engine, right? You may get little tweaks here and a couple of tweaks there, maybe a tune-up, maybe this, maybe that, but you're keeping the core is what you're going to keep. And then you're going to try to figure out how to add pieces to the core that gives you the best chance to win the championship. Although, are you concerned at all about when the core starts declining? Again, that's a factor in this. Do you want to just go for it and say, let's let it rip for the next 2 or 3 years? Figure Steph probably has 2 years, right? 2 years of being really good left. And you don't even know that. But the way he played this year, I can't imagine he doesn't. Let's give them all 2 years. Give Draymond, Klay, Steph 2 more years of really good play where they can kind of do it, not on their own, but they can still be the hub. And then after that, they're going to start declining, and they're going to need everyone else to kind of pick up the slack a little bit, where they can be part of a team, but they're not going to be like the engine of the team. But what if you spend too much in acquiring players? Or maybe, let me put it this way. What if you give them each 4 years, and the last 2 years are kind of like, oof, these aren't good. These are like if you're paying
that's the most likely scenario.
Like if you're paying somebody $50 million and they're worth like 15 or 20, that's when you get yourself into huge trouble.
And maybe the Tigers and Miguel Cabrera is what you are.
Yeah, so that's the question.
That's it.
Do you want to, as a fan, do you want to say, screw 3, 4, 5 years from now? Don't care. We got Steph. We got one of the best players ever. We got 2 other Hall of Famers that are with him. Let's give them the best chance to win right now. Even if the guys we're going to acquire, even if we can do that, because if they sign for that much money, I mean, who are you going to be able to get? Maybe I guess trades. You could use some trades to get some vets, and that's where bringing the vets would be.
Can you keep Wiggins in this scenario? Would it be the 4?
I don't know. I don't know.
By the way, we are going to talk to Bobby Marks. The cap stuff is so confusing to me, and I don't know what works and what doesn't. I mean, remember last year we were talking about the potential of a Ben Simmons for Wiggins. People were just bouncing that around in the offseason.
Yeah.
Then we found out, there's some rule where they can't be traded for each other. Like, I didn't even know that existed. There's little like pocket rules and asterisks all over the cap stuff in the NBA and what the transaction rules are. So we will talk about all that with Bobby Marks on the other side. Let's get to Greg here in San Jose. Greg's been waiting for a while. Greg's disappointed, thought the Warriors had a shot this year. Greg, what's going on, man? They fell short. What did you think kept them out, ultimately, if you thought they had a shot?
Well, the bench, for sure. I mean, listen, when the Warriors were winning back in 15, 16, when Looney was a rookie, they had 5 guys over 6'10", and then they brought in Durant, and then it started. Well, they still had a couple 7-footers, and you know what? This year, you know what their 2 tallest guys are after they got rid of Weissman?
It's like Wiggins and Looney.
Baldwin's probably one of them.
He's like a footer. He's like 6'11" or something.
Baldwin 6'9", Looney 6'9".
There you go.
So there's true center, and I wanted to ask you guys what your guys' thought would be if there's some top centers that are out there, if they would fit or not. But if you bring in a true center, you accomplish a couple things. One, you're starting to help out now for keeping guys, off the free throw line, and then helping yourself get to the free throw line, and then obviously, you're taking, and then you're increasing the bench by 1. So, there's guys. I mean, what do you guys think would fit for some of the top centers, like Nikola Vucevic from Chicago?
Yeah.
Or Jakob Poeltl?
Jakob Poeltl, yeah.
Oh, Pirtle. Jakob Pirtle.
Pirtle.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know what they'd be willing to give up to get. I don't even know what it would cost to get those guys. I think Vucevic makes quite a bit of money. I don't think Pirtle makes a ton of money. I don't know what their status is. No, I like those guys. I do. Vucevic isn't a great defender. I don't know, and I haven't watched Pirtle enough to know about his defensive skills. I think he's okay, but yeah, those guys are nice, and they would be nice to have on your team. Absolutely. I don't know. The whole thing is when you're given, Steph 50, Clay 40, Draymond 25, Wiggins 30, Poole 30. I mean, you don't have a lot of room, a lot of flexibility for other positions. And, Looney does fit this team really, really well. That was a really tough matchup for him. Anthony Davis is going to be a tough matchup for a lot of guys, but specifically this team, that was a tough matchup for him. I mean, let's not forget, he basically outplayed a third-team All-NBA guy in Sabonis the round before. I mean, he kicked his ass for the better part of that series. So Davis was a different kind of a beast where he was just super athletic and super long and, super good. I mean, Davis is better than Sabonis when they're right.
Much better defender, too.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
How he impacts the game is different.
I don't know what you do there. I mean, you got to make some concessions. And if that's the team you want, the strong core of like 1, 2, 3, 4, well, then the center position is going to take a hit. If you want to go out and get one, then yeah, maybe that's where, Poole would come into play or Wiggins would come in. I don't know. I have no idea, to be honest with you. But no, you're right about that. When they were winning championships, Bogut was there and Festus was there, and they had some guys that had some length. And then when you got KD, then it's like, well, who cares who you have there? They had Looney there, but I don't want to diminish Looney, but, I mean, come on. You had KD, Clay, Draymond, Steph, all kind of at the height of their powers. That team was damn near untouchable. But no, I do like your thought that maybe size is something they're going to have to look at. They thought they had it, right? They thought they had it in Wiseman. It just didn't work. And that's what they're battling. Do we want to keep someone who is going to be maybe pretty good in 3 years? Maybe. But we're not positive, but he could be. But he's not going to help us win a championship now. Or do we want someone who's going to help us win a championship now that maybe isn't in the plans 3 years from now? Because you gave up the second overall pick. 7-1. Athletic. But he just didn't get it. And I don't know that he would have ever got it here. But will he get it in Detroit? We're going to find out if he gets it in Detroit. Now, I will caution people, if he gets in Detroit, that doesn't mean he would have got it here. You can't make that leap. So, I mean, that's kind of the juggling act right now is, okay, we want guys that kind of keep it going and can help us. And he would have been the perfect one because your center, hell, how great would he have been? Like, if he got it, how great would he have been to have in there for 15, 20 minutes a game? 7-1.
Pretty good.
Just running the court. Yeah, crushing the glass, setting good picks, being in the right spot, all that
You
stuff.
play him opposite Davis a little bit in this series?
Would have been awesome.
Then what? I mean, they didn't have any answer for that.
Been awesome. But, he didn't get it.
But he's in Detroit,
and they're trying to win championships right now. So that's the overriding factor for me moving into this offseason. What is most important to us? Winning now over the next couple years, worry about everything later. Winning, but let's make sure we're good to go in 3-4 years. Or the last option, which I don't even think is much of an option at all, is, all right, let's make sure we're set for 3-4 years from now. And if we win, great. And we're going to be okay because we have staff, but we're not going to pour tons of resources into now. We want to make sure this thing continues to go. I think 1 and 2 are the two options.
Yeah.
My option's 1. Get one of the best players in the world.
Go all in. I'm saying you're never going to have this again.
Just
ever.
go.
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen again, guys. Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen after he's gone. You just don't. And the plans change. Everything changes. But you have this chance, and I'm going for it, period.
831 gives the caution to Taylor, says, I'm a Laker fan. Do you guys as a Warrior fans really want to watch these legends fade into obscurity? It was tough to watch the last few seasons with the talent that was around Kobe. I hear that. I get that. Where you don't get a chance at the end to watch one of the greatest competitors ever. Try to even if you're not going to reach the mountaintop, go out with talent around him. And so I get what they're saying here. I'm all in on going in on Steph Curry and saying you have that lottery ticket, keep cashing it in.
Yeah, I would tell the Laker fan that texted, you got like 5 rings with Kobe. I think, was it 5 or 4? 5, 4.
Yeah, they got 3 with Shaq and then the 2
and 2.
Yeah,
5. So you know what? I think people will swallow the 5 rings.
But he's like, yeah, but we lost
say, you know what? We can put up with a couple lean years. Warrior fans are uniquely qualified to put up with lean years, okay?
I think we're good,
They did it for a long time.
I'm calloused at the lean year, my man.
They can still do it. You say, hey, you got some lean years coming up, but you got another championship. They'll go, yeah, we're good. We're good. Give the 5th championship.
Like, bro,
that's fine. We'll go with it. So go for it. But yeah, he is right. That's the downside. As you get toward the end, it's like, oh man, this is rough. And it wasn't until this year or 2 years ago. I always forget about the bubble, but it took a long time for them to get back to relevancy. It took them. They had a lot of drafts, a lot of high picks, a lot of guys that are doing better elsewhere that didn't they took him to get Anthony Davis basically, and it took him a while to get back to where they were. So yeah, but again, I just couldn't. It'd be hard to live with myself if I knew I had a chance to get one of the best players of all time the best chance to win a championship, and I thought, yeah, you know what? Let's go like 85% good chance to win the championship, but just to make sure when he starts on his decline, we're good to go. I'm going to give him the best shot and then just worry about that when I have to worry about that. I'm not saying don't plan for the future, but not at the expense of giving this guy a chance to win a championship when he's fully capable of doing so. And Clay and Draymond, they are fully capable of winning championships. So, yeah, that's where I'd head.
That Laker fan came back. He said, "It's a good point, Tom. I think I remember you on some of those lean year Warrior teams." So I came right back.
No, easy, pal. You don't remember those years.
Bobby Marks, front office insider for ESPN, former Nets.
I wasn't part of the Vonteego Cummings era.
He's like, "No, we just bulldozed on our way into the way into the conference final again." All right, Bobby Marks will join us on the other side. We'll talk about what legitimately this offseason could look like. What would be the hardest aspect of the pending free agents or pending leaving players for the Warriors to retain, and we'll ask him what he knows about the negotiations and the thoughts from Bob Myers on his potential exit or return to the Warriors. Tolbert and Copes, Bobby Marks next. Warriors out of the playoffs on the Sports Leader. According to Shams Charania and Anthony Slater, Draymond Green could stay with the Warriors, and both Jonathan Kuminga and Jordan Poole could be traded this offseason. That story and more is trending on the all-new KNBR app. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Adam Copeland back here. My good friend Steve Moskowitz hanging out on the line. Steve, tell the people what to do if they can't pay their taxes.
Call us. Don't panic. And don't stay up all night staring at the ceiling with your stomach turning in knots. Look, it's a common problem. People just can't pay their taxes, and that's okay. There's a lot of good solutions, like asking the government to pay a part and forgive the rest, or paying in monthly installments, or getting penalties forgiven, or just have them leave you alone as a hardship deferral till you're back on your feet. The bottom line is there's a lot of good things to do. In almost all cases, we can do everything for you. You don't have to talk to the government, deal with them, have anything to do with them. Or whatever you do, don't stick your head in the sand. The government is getting ready to send out a whole new wave of notices, and then you don't want these agents coming out and doing bad things to you. Bottom line is, just turn it over to us and enjoy your life and have a normal life.
Thanks so much, Steve. Give Steve Moskowitz a call, 1-888-TAX-DEAL, or find him online, moskowitzllp.com.
Listen to the sports leader anywhere, anytime. Download the all-new KNBR app. Now, Tolbert and Copes continue live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Studio. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, let's try to figure out the Warriors and what their options are going into next year. Are they going to be able to retool Draymond, Clay, all this kind of stuff? Nobody better than Bobby Marks of ESPN to help us kind of figure all that stuff out. Bobby, how you doing? Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Hey, Bobby.
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Good, man.
I'm doing good. Like, I'd ask you this, though, before we get to the Warriors. As somebody who's worked in the front office before, how terrified are the Memphis Grizzlies right now?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. You hear everyone talking about there's the other side saying, well, this is, Second Amendment. I'm like, well, Second Amendment doesn't go for the NBA when you've got conduct detrimental to the league here. Yeah, that doesn't matter. This isn't a legal case. Like, we can throw all the legalities of open carry, all that stuff out the window here.
It's the Silver Amendment. It's the Adam Silver Amendment is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, and especially basically like, Ja, he basically, it's a disrespect to the commissioner because I think he probably got off light the first time. And he's going to get, if this video is, I assume it's real and it's happened, within the last, week or two, it's going to come down pretty hard. I mean, what is hard? 25, 30 games potentially here. So, of course, if you're Memphis and, Josh said all the right things after the season, he said all the right things in April here. And then you have this. And then, the big thing, too, from the basketball perspective is that, you're going to lose Dylan Brooks. You've already made it clear here. And so how are you upgrading that? So the upgrade was probably trying to maybe look at deals for Tyus Jones, their backup guard.
Yeah.
And now I don't know if you can do that because what happens if, you've got no backup point guard if Ja's on the suspended for, 25, 30 games. So as I said when I wrote about him, the fall is mighty, right? We had him the number one in our future power rankings last year. With Ja and Jackson and Bain and that group there, and man, it closes on you really quick.
No doubt. I said the same thing like a year or two ago. I was like, this team's coming, and now they're going. They ain't coming anymore. They're going because who knows? Obviously, it's obvious now that Ja just told everybody what he thought they wanted to hear and didn't mean any of it. Have you ever, and we got to get to the Warriors, obviously, but you mentioned Dylan Brooks. Have you ever heard anybody, I've never heard anybody say in quite the terms that Memphis said they're not bringing him back. Under no circumstances is he coming back. I've never heard a team go to that lengths to basically say, we don't even care if the world runs out of off guards except for you. It's not going to be you.
Never. No. Usually in the next interview, even if you don't want the guy back, you say, hey, we'll talk to you at the end of June. That's usually, even if you want nothing to do with the guy, we'll say, hey, we'll talk with your agent at the end of June and see if we can figure out something here. So, I've never seen that before. And the thing is, maybe they might need Dylan Brooks. They might need him for a signing trade here if maybe he can turn into something here. So, yeah, that's a situation that I haven't seen before.
That was wild. We were laughing at that. We're like, man, they must really dislike you to go out of their way to leak to somebody under no circumstance. And make sure you put that in there, the headline. That we're not bringing them back for sure.
That's rough. We're talking to Bobby Marks, ESPN. So give us a little breakdown on the Warriors and where we're trying to go over what their decisions are going to be. Do you want to go all in while Steph is still MVP type Steph? Do you want to try to do let's try to be good, but make sure we're still okay in 4 years? What do you do with Draymond? What do you do with Clay? Just kind of give us your thoughts on where they're at right now and what options are available to them and what you think they might be wrestling with this offseason.
Yeah, Steph's under contract for another 3 years, so how do you maximize those 3 years? Right? The one thing you don't want to do is just kind of you're not bringing Draymond back, you're going to let Clay walk. And then next year, Steph's on an island by himself with Jordan Poole and a bunch of young kids. That's and Andrew Wiggins, certainly. So I think what you're probably doing, and the likelihood is that, you're figuring out what's a good number for Draymond. And I think everything has to align with Curry's contract. I wouldn't want to put anything past. I know Poole and Wiggins extend past that, but I don't know how much more I want to commit. So whether it be for Draymond for 3 years, even Clay, is it a 2-year extension here? Then okay, after those guys, how is this roster getting better here? And it comes back to either you think your young players, which is Moody and Kuminga, can make a big development step, which we thought that was the case this season, which we thought was going to be the case this season here based off last year, or it's going to be, Poole is basically kind of the odd man out, and you try to break up that contract into 2 or maybe $30 million contract into 2 or 3 players, and that builds back, whether you're bench or maybe you can get a starter out of that here. But that's kind of the I guess realistic options when you have, with Looney under contract, and I don't think you're going to do anything with Wiggins. And then your 3 core guys, at the end of the day, your goal, as I said, your goal all along was you're hoping Kuminga was going to be your starting 4 for the future, be your big winning 6th man here. And we didn't see him that much at all here. But, as you guys know, these penalties that eventually are going to come in with this CBA are not kind. But you can make it work as long as you're comfortable paying, the money here.
Can you explain those to everybody? Because I'm a little, I don't quite get all the salary cap stuff. But how does that affect the Warriors?
Well, the good thing is it's basically, there's 2 ways to look at it. The teeth of it won't start until 2024-25, so that's next season. So basically, the league is saying, we get your finances in order. We'll allow you to do it for a year. So for this year alone, they're not going to be able to use their the tax mid-level exception. That's what they used for Dante DiVincenzo last year.
Yeah.
To take back a player in a trade, it's 110% of the salaries. It used to be 125%. So the numbers start to shrink a little bit here. All that stuff about freezing draft picks and draft picks moving to the from if you had the 13th pick and it can move to the 30th pick if you're in the second apron for 3 out of 5. That doesn't kick in until next year, right? So you don't have to worry about it right now here. So you do have a window if you want to go out and make a trade to do it, to take back additional salary. You can move put money together here. So I wouldn't be as concerned for this upcoming season. But as I said, the teeth of it starts in 24-25. You can it's not a hard cap. You can retain your players, right? They're not saying you have to pick. But at the end of the day, there's certainly a big financial number, to it all.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, just kind of a little off topic. Same thing that you mentioned, the draft picks. How would it affect teams? Because this is something I think they should get rid of. I don't know if they ever will. Get rid of draft pick protection. If you trade a first rounder, that's what it is, a first rounder. It's not, okay, it's 10 protected this year, then 7 protected next year, then 4. It's like, come on. I mean, because it ties everything up, too, because you're not even sure if you're going to have your draft pick next year because you're not sure if you're losing your draft pick next year.
You can't plan for the future because you have no idea whether or not you have it. Right.
Can they ever just say, look, if you're going to trade a pick, trade a pick. But that's what it is, and we're moving on.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably see a lot less picks traded because the protections is the safety net. Even the one they owe, Golden State owes Memphis in 24, which I think is top 4 protected. And then there's protections like, the following years here. I mean, I think if you wanted to do that, you would see more deals like either you see more deals like the Brooklyn Phoenix one where it's all unprotected ones or Minnesota and Utah there, or you're probably going to, it would be harder for the teams that are in the middle to the bottom to trade a pick. Like you wouldn't see the Wizards or the Pistons trade picks that that they currently owe right now that have some type of protection on it.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Talking to Bobby Marks.
That was an idea.
Talking to Bobby Marks, ESPN front office insider. Is Bob Myers the hinge point for a lot of this stuff in terms of, I mean, obviously for making trades, Poole and Kuminga, of course, but in terms of working out the Draymond stuff and figuring out what happens with Clay's future, how much gets done or how much of the success of that will rely on Bob Myers coming back to the organization?
Well, I mean, certainly he's the architect, right? I mean, he's got the relationship. He's been the guy, who's built, big part of building this roster here. I think, fortunately for Golden State, if let's say Bob decides to walk away from this and takes a year off, there's pretty good structure in place. As far as, whether it would be with Mike Dunleavy Jr. or Larry Harris or people, Kurt Lacob, people who have been there already that have relationships with Draymond and with Clay. But, yeah, I mean, Bob's role isn't just a guy who's, building a roster. I mean, it goes beyond that. I mean, you guys see that as far as his relationship off the court with these players here. And I think that's something, I think that would probably be the biggest thing that, they would be missing here.
So what do you anticipate them running it back? Because I have a feeling something's going to change. I'm just not sure how. But really, there's only a few candidates, right? There's Jordan Poole. There's Kuminga. Maybe Moody is enticing, but I don't think they want to give up every young guy. I mean, how do you see that working? And what do you think Poole's value is out there at $30 million?
Well, I mean, I would say that I would expect Thompson, Green, and Kerr to be on the roster for next year. I would, those three core guys, and then I would think certainly Looney, Wiggins, and then it's kind of a pecking order. Yeah, it's a pecking order from there. I think Poole is interesting just because hey, we all know what happened here and everything, and did not play well in the playoffs here, but it's a lot easier to trade Jordan Poole right now than if he was a restricted free agent. I mean, that's the beauty when you have a number attached to it. And, it's $27, $28 million, but he's still a guy that averaged 19 points and played really well last year and, and had his moments in the playoffs. And he's a young guard. And you could flip that. That's not a dead weight contract here. Now it's a matter of, do you want to go flip it for Julius Randle, for example? That's where we're starting to talk about here. Because as I said, what happens is that once 2024-25 comes along, it will make it harder for you to move those type of contracts. So here's your window to go out and do it if that's the guy that, is kind of the odd man out just because he's got a big number. And then, with Kuminga and Moody, those guys are on rookie contracts, they're on controllable contracts. So it's hard to move them for an expiring contract that maybe can help right now.
Another minute or two here with Bobby Marks. I want to ask you about the Monty Williams exit in Phoenix this weekend. I wonder, and sometimes you see this stuff happen with teams who are this good. You wonder, is it because the organization looked out and said, hey, there's another guy out there, and there are a lot of good coaches available right now. I know Nick Nurse is interviewing. J.J. Redick is interviewing with the Bucks, I guess, or is that Toronto he was with? That was the Bucks, right? In Milwaukee.
I think Toronto.
Toronto, and then it was Mark Jackson with Milwaukee. That's right. Anyway, there's a lot of good coaches out there. I'm just wondering, is this a situation where they didn't think he was the right? It's so funny because they build this team. They had such great success. I wouldn't say they blow it up, but they changed it drastically partway through the year and going to get Kevin Durant. They fall short of their goal against a team with a two-time MVP. I wonder what happened there. Was this an exit because they saw an opportunity to get somebody they liked, or did things go wrong with Monty at the end of the year there?
I think it's more to that you've got a 34-year-old billionaire who's got his hand in the cookie jar on how basketball operations should be run. And as I always say, that there's never a text. The commissioner doesn't give these owners a textbook when they buy a team on how things should be done. And he's going to learn. He learned in the Durant. He'll learn if this Durant trade works out. And when you buy a team, you have the right, I guess, to do whatever you want. It doesn't matter if Monty Williams had the most wins in the last 3 years. And certainly, I think losing by a combined 60 in 2 elimination games in 2 back-to-back years did not help. I mean, that did not help as good of a man Monty Williams is here. And you didn't have Ayton or Chris Paul in this year's games and stuff like that. And it's unfortunate. I mean, we see that this is the trend now. I mean, Budenholzer in Milwaukee, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, maybe Doc sticks in Philly, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's the next, right? I mean, hasn't been able to get to a conference finals in 3 years in a row, third most wins in 3 years here. So you're almost better just being in that, winning 40 games and just kind of straddling that fence here and being a 7 seed and a 6 seed, because that's almost like it preserves your, either that or being in Miami. Spo's going to be a lifer down there, and he's done a great job, but it's almost better when you have kind of not great success, but have shown, ways to improve instead of being a 64-win team and getting bounced in the second round.
Yeah, just win 42, then 44, then 46.
Yeah, that's it.
And just make sure you you win one round, and then you win 2 rounds, and then you got to lose the 3rd round, and then you can come back and win the 3rd round next year. you just keep stretching it out as long as possible, Bobby. Hey, give me 2 situations I wanted to ask you about. Phoenix, what do they do in trying to retool that roster and get some depth around Booker and KD? And then what the hell do the Clippers do? Who, I mean, I still love their 2 superstars when they're there. They're just not there enough. How do those 2 situations play out, you think?
I think for Phoenix, I think it's certainly Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. I think I think the best case scenario if you were the Suns is if you waive Paul, and you eat that $15.8 million number, and then he comes back at the veteran minimum, and then that allows you to go out and use that 12.2 non-tax mid-level exception to go out and get a guy, because you won't be able to do that right now with Paul back at that $30 million number. Yeah. And then the other one is Ayton. Right? How does he fit in with Booker and Durant? I mean, his touches are, go all the way down when he's on the court with those guys. As far as, is there a deal out there that maybe you can take back a little bit less? And so it's another situation. Can you split that contract into 2 or 3 players here? Because after that, I mean, you've got 7 or 8 roster spots open. You got 87% of your money tied up in those, in Booker, Durant, Paul, and Ayton, and you're over the luxury tax already. So that's really your kind of your wiggle room as far as you build out your depth. And then with the Clips, it's like you've invested so much already. You're almost forced to have to run it back, right? Like because and it's a big no because we've been dealing with it for 3 or 4 years. When those 2 guys are out there, you're a pretty good team. You're a really good team, especially with Kawhi. And I think the big thing is going to be what happens in 24-25 when that new arena opens. What's this roster going to look like? And I think if you're the owner, you're going to want a pretty good team heading in there.
That's the thing that kills me about that team, Bobby, is how good you could be if and when you're healthy. But Kawhi, you got to treat with kid gloves because he breaks down. So you don't want to pay him. You don't want to play him as much in the regular season because you want him in the playoffs. But if you don't play him enough in the regular season, that's when you have a 5 seed, a 6 seed, a 7 seed.
That's right. You're a 6 seed or you're a playing team, and that's the danger of it. It's almost like, can you max out and get to a top 3 seed here? And you have the depth to do it, but I mean, you need the horses as far as when you get into the playoffs.
No doubt. Before I let you go, let me ask you this, because I've been talking about this for a few years now. Where is the league at in terms of taking care of the fans, I guess? Because I know they're trying to do this mid-season tournament, which just makes me laugh. But these players, it's so weird because they get more medical attention now. They have the load management, which isn't as big as a factor as maybe some people think. But still, these guys get hurt all the time now. They're hurt in the playoffs. They're hurt in the regular season. You never know who's going to play when you show up. The NBA has told us for years that the regular season means nothing without outright telling us the regular season means nothing. But now with the mid-season tournament, they're basically telling you we're trying to spice up the regular season because nobody cares. It's all about the playoffs. What do? I mean, if you're the league and you're trying, because I said this, I don't know if you'd agree with me. I said, give the 2 teams who finish in the top of their conference an extra $20 million to spend on the salary cap, or there's something that incentivizes the whole team to try and do well during the regular season, because nobody cares right now. Is there any way to get the regular season back to some kind of meaning?
How about you let the teams pick their opponents in the playoffs? Maybe
I don't know if I'd want to do that. Make somebody mad.
Maybe instead of if Milwaukee, you don't have to pick Miami. You don't have to pick Miami in the first round. Maybe you can pick Brooklyn, right? Maybe you do something like that. I don't know. I mean, hey, they're putting in the 65 games to, you got to play 65 games, make All NBA or something. I don't know if that's going to be. I just don't remember. Maybe I'm just getting old, but back in the day, working in New Jersey, I never remembered guys missing games during the playoffs. I mean, I knew unless you were suspended for something, like you knew you were rolling in with Kenyon and Richard and Jason Kidd and Collins and that group there. I just never remembered guys missing chunks of games in the playoffs before.
I remember it being such a huge deal, Bobby, at the end of the season when Pat Riley rested Lakers starters up in Portland at the end of the year because they already had the number 1 seed. So it's one game. And I think they got fined $25,000, which was a huge deal back then. But now it's like everybody misses every game.
Well, now you hear
And-
about the people talking about whether like guys should go. Hey, the teams have Lakers up 3-1, and should we send LeBron to play Game 5? Right? Like, wait, like what? Everybody complains about load management during the regular season. Now we're going to start resting guys in the playoffs. Like, oh my goodness!
Just in case we need him. Just in case we need him for the playoffs later.
Oh my goodness gracious! Hey Bobby, we always appreciate you coming on with us. It's always learn something every single time. Have a good off season. Maybe we'll catch up with you at some point.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate it.
Good stuff from Bobby Marks, ESPN front office insider, former GM in the NBA with the Nets. So good stuff. Good scope from him. I always do think that's funny too when coaches just lose their job because I know Mark Jackson kind of had the same thing, and I get when like a guy can get you to a certain point, but you don't think he's the championship coach or the guy who can take you all the way. And obviously, the Warriors made the right call. Right, they jump off of Mark Jackson, and it's the first time they have been eliminated from the playoffs under Steve Kerr is where they are now. But we joked on Friday about Kevin Durant saying, yeah, I'll only stay if you get rid of Monty Williams and if Matt Ishbia sells the team. So maybe Ishbia's selling next, and then KD will stay.
Maybe he is.
In Phoenix. Yeah, I'll own the team.
I always said this. If you're going to fire somebody, you go ahead. But you better get somebody better.
You better, who's next?
You better not fire him just because you're mad.
Well, Nick Nurse is the one who's already been rumored potentially to Phoenix. They like, apparently Nick Nurse is a guy. I mean, Mike Budenholzer's out there. Monty Williams just got let go. J.J. Redick interviews in Toronto. Mark Jackson in Milwaukee interviewing. Doc Rivers, there's thoughts that he could be out after 54 wins in Philadelphia. We'll talk about all that. And Steph Curry, first player ever to score 50 points in a Game 7 when he did it against the Kings. Yesterday, Jason Tatum broke that record in a hell of a Game 7 for the Boston Celtics as they are back into the Eastern Conference Finals. The Western Conference Finals start tonight at 5:30. We'll tell you all about it on the other side. And then we got your Sound Soiree, and Andy Baggarly joins us at 5:15 to get you ready for the Giants. Stolbert and Copes on the Sports Leader. The Warriors season came to an end on Friday night in a 122-101 blowout loss to the Lakers. That story and more is trending on the all-new KNBR app.
Listen to the sports leader anywhere, anytime. Download the all-new KNBR app. We are your proud home of Giants baseball. KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM.
Tatum fires away, pumps it in! 51 for Jason Tatum in Game 7. One of the most dominant second halves we've seen in a playoff game in a long time. As the Boston Celtics will advance once again to the Eastern Conference Finals. Banner number 18 still very much in play.
Sounds from yesterday's Game 7. How about that? We went into the weekend thinking we might get like 4 Game 7s this weekend. We were looking at. We were thinking. I said we got Western Conference Finals starting tonight. It's tomorrow because we thought we might get a Game 7 tonight. Thought we might get 3 of them on Sunday. We ended up just getting that one yesterday. Celtics and the 76ers. Jason Tatum, hell of a performance for him after one of the worst games through 3 quarters of his career in Game 6, and then really helped will them into that Game 7, and then like goes home and takes over. 76ers 54 wins, and now they're talking. Doc Rivers said in his post-game presser yesterday he expects to be back next year. He said, "I think I got 2 years left." So that was funny that he's like he doesn't know. I think I got 2 years left. Is actually what he said. Anyway, Jason Tatum, huge performance for him as they win 112-88. I will give you a little bit of a breakdown here. There were some great numbers on the run that they went on because it was tied in the third quarter of this game. Just a moment here, I'll get it up for you. It was tied in the third quarter of this game at 55-55, and then Boston goes on a 33-7 run.
That was insane.
33-7. They hit their 5th Eastern Conference Final in the last 7 years. It's a team without a title in that span that I sort of forget has had that much success under Brad Stevens, who's now the president there. Maybe one of the most unlikely success stories of a college coach to NBA prominence, where he fixed an organization, is now the president of the team, had success with a whole different roster. I mean, they had Kyrie for a minute. They had Isaiah Thomas they went to an Eastern Conference Final with at point guard when these guys were all real young. It was like they had who's the other guard they had? They had another guard too, a defensive guy. Terry Rozier? Scary Terry Rozier.
Yeah, before he went to Charlotte, yes.
Yeah. And they had Isaiah Thomas and Jason Tatum's there, then they get Jaylen Brown. Anyway, they've been a good team for a handful of years now, and these guys have kind of grown up with this culture of winning. I think it's a matter of time here before this group, if they can stay together, and I think Brad Stevens has done a great job. Again, better at talent evaluation, I think, than I anticipated, and a better coach than I anticipated he would be. But the fact that they had that sort of tumultuous offseason with their head coaching situation, and now that they're right back where they were last year, with a guy who is on his way to an MVP. I mean, he's probably the next of this crop of players in this era who's going to get one who doesn't have one yet. And he'll probably get a couple. Jason Tatum's unbelievable. He's like 6'10". He's not Kevin Durant, but the size kind of makes you feel that way. He has that impact on a game.
Dude, he had 67 points over his last 5 quarters of basketball. 67.
69.
No, 67. He caught fire in fourth quarter of Game 6 and then just carried it over. I mean, he was incredible. Incredible yesterday.
It's 16 in the fourth of Game 6 after going 1 of 10.
Yeah, you couldn't guard him. Yeah. He was just killing people yesterday, and it was over. And then, of course, Harden does what Harden does. And I know people are getting on Joel Embiid for saying, we need help. It can't just be me and James. And look, that wasn't the whole quote. So you got to read the whole quote first, because the first thing he says was, I got to get better. I got to be better. But it can't just be me. And I know that's a big talking point for a lot of people today, a discussion point. For me, it's like a half an hour after the game. You just got your ass beaten in Game 7. It's not sitting down and being super thoughtful and really thinking clearly about what you're saying. But even when he said, it starts with me, I got to be better, I will be better, the whole team has to be better. It's like, yeah, that's right. The whole team has to be better. Like, it just has to be better. I didn't break it down. Like, I didn't watch those over again each game. I just wanted to watch it and just kind of enjoy the games. But he's a stud. There's no doubt about it. MVP. I think they'll be better off getting rid of Harden, let him go to Houston, wherever he wants to go, and just see ya. And let Maxey be the guy and use that money to see what other guys you can get to, because it's got everything centers around their center. It all does. He's like the sun. Like, how do we compliment him? Period. That's what we need. We need guys that can compliment him. Yeah, I don't know if it involves Doc Rivers or not.
I wouldn't dump Doc. I can't. Like, I love when that happens. It's like, dude, they're winning more games year after year after year. And it's funny, we say the players tell us each season that the regular season doesn't matter. Well, so do the owners when they're. Yeah. If you're thinking about axing a former championship coach after a 54-win season where his MVP is injured, and they get beat by a team that went to the finals last year. I mean, don't get me wrong. They do need changes, and I think it's roster changes, but you're losing in a conference to teams that are quality teams that are on their way to the finals. Like, it's not like you're blowing 3-1 leads to teams that are subpar.
Yeah, you better have somebody better. And maybe they feel like everybody's getting whacked, because I can't imagine Monty Williams doesn't have a job if he doesn't want one.
Yeah,
I can't imagine Nick Nurse doesn't have a job.
Budenholzer?
If he doesn't want one. Budenholzer may have to be an assistant for a year, but yeah, I could see him getting a job.
He'll get another one soon.
But I could certainly see Monty Williams and Nick Nurse getting jobs. But there's going to be a lot of really good jobs that are opening up. I mean, the Bucks, you kidding me? Hey, can win a championship. That's even better than the Warriors job that Steve inherited. He took over a really good team, but they hadn't won a championship yet.
You already have an MVP.
This team's already won a championship, yes, and they know he's an MVP.
He's already the best player on the planet, or one of them.
It's a really good team. So, hey, if you're going to take if you take that job, you better win a championship. You don't win a championship, then you're going to be hanging out with Budenholzer. So I was surprised. So they said Mark Jackson's a finalist there, huh? And I know J.J. Redick was a finalist
in Toronto, which is an interesting.
That was a little surprising too.
You got to get a first coaching job somewhere, but it is interesting. I mean, Mark Jackson was a guy who'd never coached when he took the Warrior job. Steve Kerr had never coached when he took the Warrior job. J.J. Redick, I think, is a good basketball mind. He's been around, and he's had great success in different eras of the game. He played for Coach. I mean, I think when that guy talks basketball, I learn stuff from him. He and Tim Legler, I love hearing them break down games and break down situations. Don't always agree opinion-wise, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know what kind of leader he would be and whether or not he could turn around a franchise or get them back to prominence, but it'd be an interesting hire, I think. I don't think it'd be a terrible one. It'd be an interesting flyer on a guy. But yeah, so the James Harden thing, he, by the way, has an option he can pick up. Which I always love with James Harden. Yeah, I haven't decided if I'm going to pick up my $40 million yet. Or he could become a free agent. And he hasn't decided on what he's going to do. In yesterday's Game 7, he goes 41 minutes, 3 of 11, 1 of 5 from deep, 9 points. He was a minus 30.
Yeah.
He was a minus 30. It's so funny, dude. I think I told you about when Anthony Davis was struggling. I can't remember which game it was. He didn't have a good game, maybe Game 2 against the Warriors. And Stephen A. Smith was like telling Laker fans they needed to boo him. They're like, you see him on the street. You need to let him know. We don't stand for that here in Los Angeles. Dude, so that's my new thing is now when a guy has a horrible performance, go find whatever Stephen A. Smith's take on that guy was. I got one like a minute take on James Harden this morning. He goes, and he's the tone of his voice is as if imagine you you let Stephen A. Smith house sit for you, for a weekend, and you come home and he's standing on the front porch and he goes, all right, before you go in the house, I got to tell you, like I broke your $5,000 vase. You know what I mean? Like this is the tone in which he's talking about. I got to tell you, after what I saw from James Harden on Sunday in Boston in Game 7. On national television. He always wants to like put it in perspective, you know?
Yes.
At TD Garden at 9:30 Pacific. No, he's like breaking it down, and he goes, James Harden, from what I saw, needs to shave his beard. And then he hits every letter of this word so he can hide his identity. I'm serious. I'm serious about it. And then they all kind of laugh at him. He goes, no, I'm serious. I worked in Philadelphia for 17 years. It's really hard for him to walk down the street today. And I was like, do you think James Harden's walking down the street anywhere in any city he ever plays in? I was like, by the way, shaving your beard as a form of disguise, it's like Clark Kent. Like, people don't know he's Superman.
Exactly.
You put on glasses, bro. He's got a beard. James Harden's one of those recognizable faces in pro sports. We know what James Harden looks like. But his next stop is going to be a different stop, I think, for him. If he leaves here, it's going to be a situation where he's not the guy like that. I think he's probably going to pick up the option, play this year out, take that 40, and then maybe get a multi-year deal to go be a different type of player somewhere else. But I don't think James Harden is the James Harden we've come to know and love so much, you know?
We've come to know and love.
Love him. To hide his identity. All right, on the other side, we got some sound soiree for you. The weekend across the NBA. The Giants, by the way, are playing tonight at 6:45 against the Phillies. We will get you pregame at 5:45, and Andy Baggarly will stop by to talk about the Giants' 3 of 4 that they lost in Arizona. But first, some sound soiree from the weekend in sports that you might have missed. Tolbert and Copes, it's a Monday afternoon, only here on the Sports Leader.
Every single interview from every single show. Hear them on demand at knbr.com/podcast. We are the sports leader.
Okay, I hate to interrupt. You, but we got to. I mean, I was not expecting this after the game. Here's the news from the Giants clubhouse. You ready for the news? DeSclafani dropped a piano bench on his toe several weeks ago. His toenail was coming off and causing him a lot of pain, and that's why he had to come out of the game.
Good. It's not his arm.
I mean, it's not his arm. It's not his surgically repaired ankle. But I didn't see that one coming. The piano bench.
Well,
say about
seriously? I could tell you in my house that would not have happened.
There's no piano bench, and you wouldn't have been lifting it anyway?
Wow.
Well, I've heard it all. I've heard it all now.
When
Buzzard's luck right there.
It's a Looney Tune injury. You also missed a good ebony and ivory opportunity there, Tim. Anthony DeSclafani leaves the game with, as you heard there, a toenail injury after dropping a piano bench on his foot, I guess, a few weeks ago, and it was aggravating him. And that's a bummer just because he's been fantastic. I mean, they've got three guys who are really, really tough to beat right now. When you go Cobb, DeSclafani, and Logan Webb, and Webb pitched great again yesterday. He's become the Matt Cain. I mean, he's throwing Matt Cain-like games and not getting any run support, or he's pitching great late into a game and then giving up one big blow, and then that's it. And the Giants take the loss. They lose 3 of 4 to Arizona this weekend as Casey Schmidt keeps doing his thing. But the DeSclafani injury, I mean, there's some funny injuries you've heard about. Weirdest one you can remember of a teammate, Tom, or ever had a guy come in and be like, there we go. He's like, yeah, I was playing a harp and I cut my hand. I mean, I don't know. Jeremy Affeldt used to have a ton of them.
Yes.
Hamburger meat, hamburger patty. He was trying to frozen patty. There was the Carlos Correa one where he cracked a rib getting a massage. Remember that?
Yep, that's a rough one.
Talk about deep tissue.
Yeah, I had a buddy trying to open a bottle of Gatorade. It wouldn't open. Where like it's perforated, he couldn't. So he's like trying to cut that little part with a butter knife and cut himself. Had to get stitches with a butter knife. And that was his nickname forever, Butter Knife.
Was it Ralph?
Like, Butter Knife, what's up? Like, how do you cut yourself with a butter knife?
Butter Knife Barbieri? Was that who it was?
Butter Knife. No, that was not it.
That's Zito who said that? Yeah.
Yeah, that was Zito that said that.
Real singer, Barry.
Yeah, I was a big time
big singer, Bear.
So, yeah, but as far as teammates, I don't remember teammates getting, having a teammate do something that, no, I can't think of anything.
Here's Butter Knife Barbieri. Oh, Tim, you just said you had it. Oh, Tim. Tim goes, I have it. Tee it up, but he doesn't have it. So they wrote an article on MLB.com with the weirdest injuries to baseball players. I guess in 2022, Lance McCullers he had to start push back in the ALCS because he was hit in the elbow by a champagne bottle during the clubhouse celebration in the previous round.
Wow.
Division series, he got hit in the arm. Injured by the champagne bottle he was celebrating with. That's a bummer. That's a tough one.
That's a rough one.
There's not really an excuse for that.
Wasn't there one guy that had like arachnophobia? Like, I forget who it was, Glenn Allen Hill maybe? Had spiders in the attic and fell down the attic stairs or something like that.
No way. That happened? Glenn Allen Hill? Former Giant?
Like that. Yeah, I think so. Maybe it wasn't him, but there's definitely something with spiders.
IL, arachnophobia in parentheses. Yeah. There was, of course, there was the...
I know there was something.
James Caprillion got scratched from the A's from a start hours before the game on September 9th, 2022, with a right middle finger laceration. The right-hander sustained the cut the night before when he hit a wall while extending his right arm to put on a shirt. Put on a shirt, cut his hand on a wall.
For me, listen, I'm busting my tail. I totally get it, man.
But who's knocking you on the philanthropic? I must have missed that.
I think the butter knife, Barbieri.
The butter knife?
Knocking him on the philanthropic. How dare you give money to charity, Barry? How dare you take 126 and then give some of it away for a good cause? Knocking you on charity. Come on. Dude, I think it was the 7 ERA we were knocking you on, Barry. I don't think it had anything to do with your philanthropic.
Pretty sure that was it.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm pretty sure that was it. Yeah, and look, nobody cares about that. Nobody. They're happy you're doing it, but when you're getting that type of money, they expect you to pitch well or play well for their team. That's it. You're expecting fans to be rational. That's not gonna happen. Like he didn't think things were gonna change. I remember asking him about that when he signed the contract. You know, how do you deal with that? You know, it's different now. You're making $126 million, blah, blah, blah. He goes, well, I'm gonna keep things the same and not change. And I go, what about things changing around you? No, I don't think it'll be that. Like players underestimate the power of money and how you're perceived when you make that money. I always mention
when you're
Danny
not homegrown.
Ferry.
It's different.
Yeah, I always mention Danny Ferry all the time. Danny Ferry was making $3 million a year back when he was a young player, and he was good, but he wasn't great. And they killed him. He just got killed. And then, like, when he was a 12-year veteran, he's making like $1 million a year with the Spurs. He was like the 8th man or 9th man. They loved him. They loved Danny Ferry. It's like, well, yeah, because they're not expecting as much anymore. He's only making $1 million a year. They're like, oh, this is awesome. He's a really good player. Mike Dunleavy was a good player for the Warriors. Now you expect with the number 3 pick.
3 pick in that draft, yeah.
Nobody cares that there was nobody after him that was any good. They just know you're the number 3 pick and they want you to perform like a number 3 pick. I don't want to hear this crap. There's nobody after you. Perform like a number 3 pick. And then when you can't, you're not that good. Then they're like, well, what? And it's not the player's fault. It's the expectations. And the expectations change when you make a lot of money. So I think he underestimated that was going to be a big factor. You're looked at differently. You're treated differently. Expectations are different now. And really, as a player, I always say this. As a player, all you can give an organization is work ethic, be ready, be in shape, be mentally prepared. That's it. That's all you can do. And if you do everything in your power to get yourself to that point, that's all you owe an organization for the money they give you. You can't give them numbers. If you could, you just like go to sleep at the beginning of the year, wake up and go, give them a number. It's cool. We're good. Moving on. It doesn't work that way. But if you work hard, you bust your ass, that's what you owe them. And if you give them that, then hey, you can live with yourself. But that nobody else cares about that. Like the fans don't care about that. Hey, great. Did you work hard? Awesome. You're batting $150. You suck. Oh, damn. You work with the Girls and Boys Club of America. Hey, you get a 4.90 ERA. Your ass. You're getting $30 million a year. You got to be better than that. We don't care about your Girls and Boys Club. We don't care about your Make-A-Wish Foundation. We don't care that you're putting in the time, that you're spending the hours. We don't care that you're a good dad. We don't care that you're good. Nobody cares about any of that. All that stuff, by the way, is arguably more important than the game you're playing, but that's what people care about, and that's what you have to live with as a player, that people expect numbers out of you now. Give it down by your work ethic or philanthropic endeavors. Nobody cares. They just don't.
But that's the reason they loved him in Oakland, because, one, when you're a young player and you come up out of the minors, yes, you're homegrown, but also you have nothing. Any favor you get, any fandom you get, it's because you've succeeded and done something to earn that fandom, and you've exceeded that expectation. Oh my gosh, this guy's become something. I remember when he used to strike out on that pitch all the time. Then he went back down and then came back up and figured it out. Now he's like a different guy. You see that stuff happen all the time, and it's why now people are going to circle around a guy like Casey Schmidt much differently than they will anybody like a Mitch Haniger or a Conforto or a guy who's brought in from the outside, because you've been waiting for this talent. Now you're seeing it play out. And should note, in the Giants' 3 of 4 that they lost this weekend, Casey Schmidt did have, we knew about the 4 hits on Thursday. He had 3 hits this weekend after that. He went 0 for 4 yesterday, struck out 3 times. Those were his first 3 strikeouts in the series. So he's been playing pretty damn well, man. 1 homer and 2 doubles, 5, let's see here. What do you have, 5 hits in the series, 7 hits in the series, 7 for 16. So he is hitting .458 with an OPS just under 1,300. And he now, by the way, has thrown the fastest ball across the diamond in baseball this year.
Wow.
Threw a ball faster than O'Neal Cruz. He now has number 1 and number 3. O'Neal Cruz is number 2 and 4 for the fastest thrown ball across the diamond.
My God.
Yeah, we'll get into a little bit more of that, and we'll talk to Andy Baggarly at 5:15 about that road trip and what the Giants are facing this week. And the Phillies, the defending National League champions, and the Miami Marlins come to town this weekend. We do have a sound soiree for you. We got plenty of time now. I want to get the Giants stuff out of the way so we can stretch out for the soiree. That's coming up next. All the sound from the weekend that you might have missed in the sports world, and then Andy Baggarly and Giants pregame. It's Tolbert and Copes, only here on the Sports Leader. The Giants dropped 3 out of 4 games in Arizona against the Diamondbacks this weekend, including yesterday's 2-1 walk-off loss after a gem by Logan Webb. That story and more is trending on the all-new KNBR app.
Listen to the sports leader anywhere, anytime. Download the all-new KNBR app. Now, Tolbert and Copes continue live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Studio. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER. This is Tolbert and Cope's Sound Soiree.
No, I've whipped up this nasty little soiree.
The best sounds you might have missed.
Soiree, what?
Soiree, honey. I think that means party.
On the sports leader.
Tolbert and Copes hanging out with you on a Monday afternoon, your Sound Soiree for Monday, May 15th, 2023. Let's go out to the NBA. Draymond, I felt like last year at this time, remember time we had the soundbite right after the Warriors won the title, and he was like, he kept giving the date in August that he had to have his contract by or things had to be negotiated by, and we were waiting on Jordan Poole stuff.
Number one, who cares?
Yeah, no, we did last year because Draymond was like, yeah, this is Draymond Green Industries. He's like, I know the date. I'm counting the date. This is new media. He was doing his whole thing, and he just launched the podcast and all that stuff, talking about how Draymond Green Inc. and all that stuff. Anyway, yesterday, or after they lost on Friday, he did a podcast, and he was pretty cut and dry. He wants to be a Warrior, wants to be here. Here's what Draymond had to say, and a lot of people thinking the dynasty's over. Draymond says he wants to be a Dub.
You know, we'll see what happens as far as my contract goes. Obviously, I have an opt-out. Everybody know about that. I know about that. I'm aware of that. But as I've told you guys, for years, I want to be a Warrior for the rest of my life. I want to ride out with the same dudes I rode in with. And, I think we've put the work in to make that happen. Our worst season as a whole since 2014, and yet, we had a chance to make another run. So it's never as bad as it seems, it's never as good as it seems, but those are some of my priorities. Travel a little bit, refill the cup, possibly play FIBA, and work my ass off and be better next year. It's my priorities.
There you go. I like the idea of riding out with the dudes you rode in with. I mean, it's a cool mentality to have, and very few guys. I mean, the one I think of is the Tim Duncan trio, Duncan, Manu, and Parker. It's kind of that thought, and just never seemed right to me that Tony Parker was putting on a Charlotte Hornets uniform.
I know.
It just seems weird. Seems just really weird that he wasn't with those. Like, I don't think of him this way, but it was really cool that Albert Pujols and Wainwright and Yachty all got to do that thing last year where they walked off the mound together and they all kind of. Then Wayno was like, oh, by the way, I'm still pitching. I got another year left. Wayno came on back, but I thought that was
even
cool.
better if Pujols would have stayed there with him for like 12 years.
Yeah, not left and came and hurt your feelings for it.
Exactly.
Hurt the Angel fan base.
That'd have been awesome.
But, obviously, he said the thing everybody says, yeah, we'll see what happens with the contract. I want to be here, but he also has a number in mind, a value, and whatever he thinks is needs to happen. But again, who knows what his scope is on his career and on this team and on this legacy now that they're not the ones at the top when this thing has come to an end.
So here's the question. How much of a haircut does he want to take to stay here and keep it in place? Does he want to get max dollars? Does he want to, and not max, he's not going to get max, but does he want to maximize his earning potential this last contract? Because this will be the last big one he gets. So if he can get an extra $20 million somewhere else, is that worth it? If he can get an extra $30 million somewhere else, $10 million, like what is that number? Is there a number out there where he just says, nah, I'd rather just stay here? Because I do believe he is more valuable here than anywhere else. I think he fits better here than anywhere else. He knows how to play with Steph and Clay. Like, they just all fit. That's not to say that he can't help another team win a championship. I think he can. He's that good, and he wins, and he does so many things that teams that don't win don't do. He does those things like, okay, I got this.
He raises your IQ and fundamental level base so much more than anybody else has.
So he's got to ask himself that question. If he can get more, how much more is worth it? You got your quality of life here. You know your teammates. You know the way to the arena. You got your locker. You know everybody. I mean, just everything. You probably got your favorite restaurant, coffee shop, whatever you do. This is home. So, or do you want to uproot, rent a house, maybe stay in a hotel for you, whatever. So you got to weigh all those things. And yeah, I mean, I hope he stays. I think I've changed my mind. I thought when he punched Jordan Poole, I thought it would be.
How about that sentence? Well, when he punched him.
Yeah.
That's how the season started, Tom.
Yeah,
well, when he punched
exactly.
Jordan Poole, I thought,
I thought he would opt in for sure because I didn't think he'd have any other options.
Yeah, right.
And then now I thought he'd opt out and he'd probably leave. I think he's going to opt out and stay. Like, he'll opt out and then he'll restructure his deal. Maybe it won't even be $25 million a year. Maybe it will be right at $25 million a year. But you add a couple more years onto it. Now, instead of having like 25, 26, 27, whatever you're making, you can get like 70 for 3 years. So you're not making maybe as much per year, but overall you're getting more money. So who knows how he decides. But like, I think if he wants to get it done, it'll get done. They want him back, and it just because I think once you go and you opt out of that contract, then I think curiosity may get the best of you, and you may say, well, you know what? I've never really been a free agent before. Let's see what else is out there. Let's see what they're offering. At the minimum, I can get, maybe I can squeeze the Warriors for a little bit more if I can get a team out here that can give me a little more money. I don't know if any team that is serious about competing for a championship has that type of money.
What do the Kings
That's another
have?
thing I haven't really
That's
looked
the
at.
team Marcus keeps throwing out. Marcus Thompson keeps throwing out the Kings.
Yeah. Most of the teams that want to compete for a championship don't have that type of money.
Yeah, they'd have to
They're
move
the teams
something
that are
around.
at the bottom, and Draymond ain't going to those teams. I don't think unless they just said, here, take max, and I don't even know what that would be for someone coming from another team, but yeah, like the Kings, like he'd be really, really good with the Kings. He'd be really good with a lot of teams. So
usually Max is a year shorter going from another team. I think
definitely
usually,
is.
I think usually
I
you
think
can
the
get
money's
5.
less too.
I think it
like,
is
per
like,
year.
The average is
but
a
I
little
don't
bit
know.
lower. Yeah, percentage.
But it'll be interesting. I mean, I guess I expect him back just because he's never played anywhere else, and it would be. Can you imagine seeing him in a Kings uniform?
That'd be weird. That's what I mean. It's like, dude, Tony Parker, like
super weird.
Watching him put on the pinstripes in Charlotte, like Tony Parker.
Yeah,
did the pinstripes on a basketball uni. It's over.
I wore them.
Did you? Did
God
wear
awful.
them? Oh man, were they slimming?
Pinstripes and pleats. We had pleats in our shorts. I was like, who's making these? Are you kidding me?
Taking them back to the pants, the pleats.
Yeah, I was like, these are basketball shorts. Come on.
Pleats in your basketball shorts.
Yep.
That's incredible. What's the movie? Catch Me If You Can, with the con man who conned his way into making that movie that didn't actually happen, apparently. Frank William Abagnale Jr.
Yes.
I forget Chris Walken's got that line about, you know why the Yankees win so much? Because the other team's staring at their pinstripes. In the whole movie, the bit's like, no, dude, they have Mickey Mantle. That's why they win so much. Are you kidding me? They have Mickey Mantle. Joel Embiid. This is after the Sixers were eliminated yesterday. Joel Embiid, and here's the comments you were talking about, Tom, in context, where he says he and James Harden cannot do it alone. Here's Joel Embiid, the MVP.
Can't win alone. I can't win alone. Me and James, we just can't win alone. That's why basketball is played 5-on-5. So, we just need everybody to just, try to keep finding ways to get better, and, we'll be fine.
I just don't know if James Harden's the right guy for that. We didn't think he was we thought it was a weird fit anyway. I know his relationship with Daryl Morey from the time in Houston, and they acquire him, and they weren't getting anything out of Ben Simmons anyway, right? I mean, you've got that contract and that talent just sort of sitting there. You may as well get something out of it. So I don't fault him for that move. It wasn't a terrible one. But in terms of what Joel Embiid needs around him, I think when he says me and James Harden can't do it alone, I'm like, I don't think James Harden's the one you should have in that sentence with you. I think it should be somebody else who's your Robin, and maybe you'll see a jump to the next level. But I just seems to me he needs somebody else. He's not the right fit. Kind of like we looked at Luka and Kyrie together as an awkward fit. It's not the same thing because they're not just the same sort of shooters, and Harden's game has changed dramatically. But I just think they need new personnel. I don't even think change of Doc Rivers is the move. I think it's a personnel thing.
Yeah, it's funny because Harden did have 2 monster games in that series, like monster games. There's no way they win game 1.
Was Embiid out that game,
him.
though? He was out that game, right?
Embiid was, yes.
Right.
The other game, Embiid was there, and he had like 40, 42 maybe in game, what was it,
3
game
or 4?
4?
Yeah.
I think it was 4. But yeah, I'm with you. I just don't know that's a good fit there. I don't know who Harden is a good fit with. Like Harden,
It's like
the
Westbrook.
way he's
It's like, I don't know
played
that.
his entire. Oh God,
Didn't
they
fit
tried that. They tried that already. It didn't work. I think the way he's played his whole career, he's been the center of the universe. But he's not that player anymore. They don't let you get away with those stupid fouls anymore. He doesn't go to the free throw line 13 times a game anymore. So he's not as good. So how does he play off the ball, not having the ball in his hands the entire game? I don't know. I don't know where he fits, to be honest. I found it interesting that he wanted to go back to Houston, not from his standpoint, but that they would want him back because they're trying to grow something down there with some young players. And then you bring in a player who is ball centric. Like I have no idea how that would work. They had to put him and Luke on the same team, like the same player. Just put him on the same team and let them stand around and watch each other play basketball. All right, was that your play or my? That's my play. That's my play. Give me a damn ball. You sure? I think that was my play. Give me the damn ball. No, give me the damn ball. Like it just again, not my cup of tea, but both Hall of Famers, absolutely. But I don't know where he fits. That's a great question. Like, what does he fit? Who does he fit? Unless he's willing to change his game up a little bit, then yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. If he goes anywhere, you might be right. He might take the $40 million and say, "Look, this is my last big one for 40. I'm cashing in on this and roll the dice, and we'll see what works here."
And then take a role wherever you think you can fit in elsewhere, and do what you can for your career, and maybe some accolades at the end of it. Here is James Harden. They asked him about his relationship with Doc Rivers here. Doc Rivers potentially on the hot seat, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of coaches out there. If Philly thinks they could get somebody better, but as Tom said, you move on from a championship coach like that, you better have somebody better stepping in. Here's James Harden on his relationship with Doc Rivers.
When you got here, you said that one of the reasons you wanted to come, if I'm not mistaken, was Doc. How has your relationship been with Doc, and would you like to see him back?
I don't know. Our relationship is okay.
Oh, okay, good. Moving on then, dude. Oh, dude, not a big vote of confidence. Would you? Yeah, relationship's okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's okay.
It's cool. It's cool.
So when somebody's like, "How's your relationship with your boss?" You either say like, "Yeah, it's good," or you're like, "Oh man, this guy." You know, if you're him and Han to the public. I don't know if James Harden doesn't strike me as a guy Doc Rivers would like love to coach. You know, doesn't strike me as that kind of like James Harden's the most coachable player out here. Like he didn't seem like he's the when he's scoring 40 for you, yeah, you love him. But outside of that, I don't know if you love what he does for you.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see what they do, because I heard that when he said it, I was like, ooh, that was not a strong endorsement at all.
650 on the text line says Harden may be waiting to see what Houston does if they get the number 1 pick. And then he could opt out. So here's the thing: is the lottery
if
is
the number
tomorrow.
1 pick, do you want Harden around him?
Wembayama?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd be like, nah, we're good. We're good.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. He's like, dude, I know everywhere good to go. Every strip club with the best chicken wings in Houston.
Perfect.
Wembayama, I'll take you out. Here's Anthony DiSclafani. We played the sound of Dave Fleming reporting that he had injured his foot a couple of weeks back by dropping a piano bench on it.
Ugh, God.
Tough deal. No, at least it wasn't the piano. Thank you. It's an Acme piano bench.
Looney Tunes?
Yeah, exactly. He needs the. Do you think like if he drops when he dropped on his toe, he got that lump that came out like in the cartoons, the straight up lump with the little hairs that stick out of it?
Yeah,
always come out of your head. Maybe they drop an
the one that
anvil.
you can just push down with your finger.
Yeah, you press it back in.
Yep, press it down in.
Yeah, Wile E. Coyote had that same head injury a lot. It seemed like
he did.
He was
definitely concussed,
in and out of the protocol
and
consistently.
I was going to say he didn't go to the protocol because he kept coming back too soon.
It was a different game back then, Tom. It was a different time.
You're right. Rub some dirt on it.
We weren't watching the head injuries. You got his bell. Yeah, your bell rung. You just get after it.
Exactly.
You got the rotor. He's painting tunnels on rocks. You know what I mean? Running into him.
How many fingers am I holding up? 2. Good. Get in there.
I like when he sits there. He's got the roadrunner running around his head, like when he's seeing he's seeing stars, and the roadrunner's running around his head as he's all woozy.
The same with what was it? The Sylvester had Tweety Bird running around his head.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Suffering Thuckatash.
Suffering Thuckatash.
I taught Putty Tat.
Holds up. Looney Tunes holds up. I imagine there's themes that don't, that you're not allowed to talk about anymore. That just
Looney Tunes definitely holds up.
That we didn't know. Foghorn Leghorn, I mean, one of the
I don't know. I always thought that held up, and I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I just like when he said, "Well, I'll say, I'll
do declare. I'll say. Here's Anthony DeSclafani. There's our Looney Tunes detour all the way to get back to Anthony DeSclafani and how he got hurt.
The two dogs that go to work every day. Did that hold up?
Which two dogs go to work every day?
Remember, they go to work every day, and then because they were watching over the sheep. And then one would have a wolf costume on, but he was a dog, but he was a sheep,
and he's got the head in the mouth
of the
Yeah, he's got the head in the mouth of the sheep.
I think
or the
those
wolf.
hold up, but I'm not positive. Yeah, and then when the whistle blew, he had to let him go.
He's off.
Could continue.
I'm off the clock.
Continue biting. He can continue biting. It's like end of the workday. See you tomorrow, Fred.
Got to clock
See you
out.
tomorrow, Ralph.
You're good at
and
something.
You know what they do the
free.
next day? They'd come back in and he'd put his head back in his mouth.
Pick up where we left off.
Started the next day.
It's like playing a game under protest. We'll pick it up in the seventh inning
what it was,
with a runner on second and a 1-2 count. Here's Anthony DeSclafani. How'd you hurt your foot, Anthony?
I was just playing piano with my kid, and it's just silly, but I was playing piano with my kid and was trying to help him off the bench, and the thing literally squirted my toe up, like several weeks ago, and the toenail kind of finally just died, and just started affecting me today.
All right.
The toenail just kind of finally died. Yeah, thank you.
So why'd you have to come out of the game? Was it the pain? No, it was a moment of silence for the nail.
Yeah,
finally kicked it. It was a long battle.
R.I.P. Cheers.
Long battle for the nail.
Did they play taps for it?
They do the bagpipes, for the nail.
Yeah,
the hell out of those bagpipes, though.
I don't know too many players that would say, I was playing piano with my kid. That's I don't know too many athletes. And there are too many people, I guess, for that matter. I mean, who plays piano? I mean, pianos are awesome, but how many people have damn piano in their house?
My dad's got a piano in his house, but he doesn't play the piano. My sister used to. But I think it's one of those things where it's like it's probably been in our family for however many years. And it's somebody died 40 years ago. I was like, what do we do with this piano? And then my great grandma took it, and then somebody else, and then I don't know. I don't even know how we got this piano.
Do you play?
Around. No.
Oh. Just your
Not
sister?
at all. My sister used to take lessons when we were younger. Yeah, she played piano.
I heard piano's hard as hell.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't play it. I don't know, Tom. We'll have to ask somebody who plays it. But if they play it, they probably don't.
We
think
have somebody in your family that plays it. Ask them.
I understand. She don't remember anything, dude. She took it. It's something you make a kid do. Tuesday night, you got to do your piano.
Tuesday night, piano.
Piano lessons. I was playing Madden. Anyway, on the other side, we will.
You could be Elton John. You could have been Elton John.
I could have been.
Instead of being a good Madden player talking to me.
I already had the ebony and ivory in my DNA. We'll talk to Andy Baggarly on the other. Andy Baggarly covers the Giants for the Athletic. Giants are back home here to take on the Phillies in a 3-game series tonight, starting tonight, and then they will take on the Marlins this weekend. We'll talk to him about Casey Schmidt's hot start. I don't think Anthony DeSclafani is going to be out with that dead nail. You've got Andy Baggarly next on the Sports Leader. Tolbert & Copes is sponsored by Redwood Credit Union. Start earning cash back on your everyday spending with a Redwood Credit Union free checking account. There's no monthly fees, no minimum balance, and your debit card earns cash back travel and more. Get started at redwoodcu.org/free checking. Giants pitcher Anthony DeSclafani left Saturday's game after feeling discomfort from an earlier injury from dropping a piano bench on his toe. That story and more is trending on the all-new KNBR app. Attention sports fans, brace yourselves for an unforgettable showdown. Are you ready to witness a clash that transcends time? It's the ultimate rivalry older than the players themselves. Mark your calendars for July 1st at 7:30 as the 97th California Classico electrifies Stanford Stadium as the San Jose Earthquakes go head-to-head with their longtime adversaries, the LA Galaxy. This is no ordinary match. It's a summer tradition like no other. Prepare for a spectacular event featuring a fan zone for kids and families, a heartfelt tribute to our military heroes, and jaw-dropping post-game fireworks. The first 30,000 lucky fans will receive a Quakes jersey-shaped rally towel. Don't miss out on the Bay Area's biggest summer sporting event. Get your tickets now at sjearthquakes.com. Be part of history as the 97th California Classico unfolds on July 1st. Get ready for an adrenaline-pumping clash of titans. Go to sjearthquakes.com to score your tickets today.
Bases are bigger, but our bags stays the same. Andrew Baggarly covers the Giants for The Athletic, and he's on with Tolbert and Copes. Now, on KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM, the sports leader.
Andy Baggarly covers the Giants for The Athletic. He joins us every Monday talking Giants baseball. What's going on, Bags? How are you, man?
Hey, Adam, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, dude. Giants back home off of a little 4-game road trip. Is it 12 of 16? They're at home right now. It's one of the longest or biggest stretches of the season that they've got some home games. A couple of East Coast opponents here. How would you classify the Giants 40 games in after that 4-game roadie?
Well, I mean, it was a difficult schedule to start the year.
Yeah.
But what surprised me is just how they performed against the teams that they probably felt they should have beaten. I mean, this is a team that has lost series to the Tigers and the Royals and the Nationals at home even. I think that's kind of surprising. The Marlins throw them in too. And they look like a team that can compete when they've got their top 3 pitchers going. And then after that, it's been a big-time struggle, and you look at the standings, and they're not, buried. I mean, the Dodgers have started to separate themselves, obviously, with the curse of Kershaw now plaguing the Padres. But they haven't played their way out of it, and I thought they just needed to get to Mother's Day and be, right around 500 or within striking distance, and they're clearly, not haven't won as many games as they'd like. They've got a lot of upside on the roster, and Casey Schmidt's provided a little bit of a spark, but you got to start beating the teams that you expect to beat. And if that doesn't start happening soon, then it's going to be pretty clear what direction the season's going to go in.
Yeah, we haven't got into it too much today, but I wanted to, since this is the 40-game mark, and I always say give a team 40 games, let them decide who they are and try to figure it out. They're just not very good. Their bullpen's terrible, let's be honest. The defense isn't much better. The defense isn't good. They don't steal bases. They're not athletic. The pitching's fine. The starting pitching's fine. I don't have any problem with starting pitching. And they hit home runs, but they got too many things average teams have. I don't see anything that I don't see him getting more athletic bags. The bullpen has to get better, and maybe the defense isn't as good because of the lack of athleticism. I don't know. What do you see?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things. One, you think, well, you pitch well, you have a chance to win every game. And I think that, the top 3, you can point to those guys when Anthony Sclafani's not dropping heavy furniture on his foot. He's been great. Alex Cobb has been, I think he leads or might be second among all starting pitchers in WAR. And Logan Webb has obviously gotten past the hiccups with the homers early. He looks fantastic. He looks like he's only getting better. But the Giants have a 500 record when those 3 guys start. So, I mean, the problem is in their starts too. Not necessarily the pitchers need to do a better job, but they need to score some more runs, and they need to find a way when the back end of this rotation, until they can figure it out, until Ross Stripling can start to produce some results, or they can get Sean Manaea on the beam, or Alex Wood comes and helps the situation, or Kyle Harrison comes and blows some doors off. However they figure that out, in the meantime, they're going to have to win some games by scoring 8 or 10 runs sometimes, and they're just striking out way too much to sustain those rallies. Yeah. And if they aren't hitting homers, then they really aren't producing. So, I agree with you. I think it's not just one thing you can point to, but I said this to Grant Brisbane on our podcast today. Every good team I've covered, it seems like they've got 5 or 8 different roadmaps to a victory. They can outslug you. Yep. They can win. The torture type baseball that we saw the World Series teams do. They just have a lot of different ways that they can win a game. And right now it seems like the Giants don't have a whole lot of scripts that they can use to win a ball game right now.
No.
Talking to Andy Baggarly, excuse me, on the UMA guest line, 40 games in, are the Giants 17-23, sitting in 4th place in the NL West. What element of the team you think at this point has surprised you the most, whether it's positive or negatively? I know last year Tom and I both thought coming in, it's funny, I think we do this in every sport at the start of every year. We said it with the Warriors, this might be the deepest team Steve Kerr's ever had. Then a week in, we're like, oh yeah, no, forget that. Not very deep at all. And then with last year with the Giants, we thought bullpen was going to be a strength, and the bullpen was a major problem. Pitching was not a element of depth, I think, with that team. This year, I sort of thought the same thing. I thought bullpen would be much better starting pitching. Team ERA is at 4.48. They've given up 365 hits. That's 7th worst in all of baseball. The pitching is not as good as I'd thought. Is that a surprise to you, or is there something else that stands out?
I mean, it's a little bit of a surprise just because we talked about the depth that they had. But, Sean Jelly has not been effective. Tristan Beck has not been effective. Those were guys that were supposed to be the last guy on your staff, and they haven't really been able to figure that out. But, this was a team that was put together in a way where, hey, look, every single at-bat we give to someone is going to be above league average, and every single inning we ask someone to throw is to a pitcher who's going to be above league average. And that hasn't been the case, and they've had too many games where they've been upside down, especially in the Mania Stripling games, and then they kind of get beat up a little bit after that. So I am a little surprised that that the pitching has struggled beyond those top couple guys we talked about, and let's also not ignore the fact that Camilo Doval looks fantastic. Tyler Rogers looks fantastic too. Even Taylor Rogers has been pitched much better after starting the year with some really, really bad struggles. So that would be a good that's a good bridge you can build to, I think. But yeah, everything else in the middle has been a struggle, and honestly, there's not a lot of optionable pieces there. I mean, Jacob Junis does not have options. John Brebbia does not have options. These are not guys you can send down. So they got to figure it out basically with the people that they have.
So what's the easiest thing to fix for them? Because I think 26 unearned runs they've given up this year. They strike out a ton, as you said, and they're not getting any more athletic. So is the defense something that's easier to fix? Are they just gonna have to live with the strikeouts and say, this is who we are, this is the team we built, and hopefully it's good enough to overcome bullpen troubles? Like, what's most easily fixable in your mind, Bags?
I think the one thing that can make a difference is if Mike Yastrzemski can come back healthy. I think he can really help the situation. Mm-hmm. I mean, Lamont Wade Jr. has just become a savant when it comes to knowing the strike zone, and he's, I think, just behind Ronald Acuna Jr. in terms of on-base percentage among big leaguers. But in terms of chase rate, Mike Yastrzemski is almost right there with Wade. I mean, he's been making fantastic swing decisions. He was off to a really good start, and then obviously had the hamstring go out on him in Mexico City. And if they can get him back and keep him healthy and at the level of production that he started the season at, that would be a big lift to this offense, because he's somebody who can, score from second on a single, and he can score from first on a double, and he'll get you some extra base power, and they're really missing a lot of that. Michael Conforto is starting to turn things around. He's having better at bats. That would make a world of difference too. But honestly, the number one thing that probably isn't happening that needs to happen is all the guys that they signed to free agent contracts need to start producing positive WAR instead of negative WAR. I mean, we know they didn't get Carlos Correa, but they spent a lot of money in the offseason. I mean, they spent $80 million on Ross Stripling, Sean Manaea, and Taylor Rogers. $80 million, and they're getting negative WAR out of those guys. And Mitch Haniger obviously hasn't done much either. So I think that's where it needs to start. Is with the guys that they really made bets on need to start producing.
Yeah, it starts with playing good. It starts with
that helps.
Starts with putting out some production. I'm with you. You want to get?
I agree with you.
Yeah, get into a little bit of a rhythm here. Talking to Bags on the UMA guest line. Casey Schmidt, I saw a tweet a little bit ago, said he's going to make his debut at second base today for the first time.
I think the lineup is the lineup out now. I
haven't seen a lineup. I just saw somebody tweet that Gabe had said that maybe before the game that he was going to play some second. He's been impressive, man. I mean, his throw across the diamond yesterday, where he's now the fastest throw in baseball this year as far as velocity goes across the diamond, was incredible. This kid's a sort of I wouldn't say a freak athlete. He's got a talent that we haven't seen all in one player, I think, in some time come through the system.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, when you see he hits one in the second deck in Arizona. You see what the arm strength looks like. You see what the footwork looks like, and his sprint speed too was pretty darn good. This is not a team that it's by comparison. He looks like Esteury Ruiz out there running the bases, but he's fast. I noticed in spring training he hit a double or a triple, and he just flew around the bases. And I did not know he was that fast. So you're right, that youthful athleticism, that sort of youthful gregariousness is really, really needed on this team. And if he's the first out of several who can debut this year, I think if the Giants can maybe take 3 or 4 players that aren't major leaguers right now and say, hey, these guys are everyday players, that would be a hugely successful season. Whether it's Tyler Fitzgerald, who's really coming into his own at AAA this year, or Patrick Bailey, or maybe even Marco Luciano and Luis Matos. Those guys, especially Matos, has really started hitting at AA. So that's what we've all been waiting on. All the free agent moves, all the ways that they've tried to stay, quasi-competitive. It worked like gangbusters in 2021, really hasn't worked in the other years, but they try to at least stay competitive and make you feel like they have a chance. That's kind of the marching orders that Farhan Zaidi was given. But that's all the window dressing. That's all the sand painting of the Major League roster that'll change, when you just go with a bunch of short-term fixes and platoons. What really is the big work, the heavy lifting, is what's happening on the farm and what's happening with player development. And if that doesn't really equate to a meaningful positive change in a pretty short order, then that's really where you judge this front office.
Yeah, and we'll know. We're going to know. There's no doubt about it, and that's going to set him up for not just this year, but more importantly, the future of what's going on. Where is you think VR going to? I know how much he struggled, and it's probably good for him to go down and just maybe try to catch his breath and take a deep breath. How do you think that's going to go? I mean, do you see him being caught with Casey Schmidt doing what he's doing? Do you see the need for him right now with J.D. Davis at third base? And I don't know, is it one of those where he leaves and he's not back for maybe a couple months depending on injuries?
Yeah, I mean, I think they optioned him for that reason. They don't have an avenue to playing time for him with J.D. Davis sort of emerging at third base, and they want to take a look at Schmidt, and Brandon Crawford's back on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the reason they don't have the lineup out yet, I don't think, is because Mike Yastrzemski could be activated here today. So that could happen. That's kind of why we're waiting on the lineup to happen today or tomorrow. But anyway, you know what? I think that David Villar just needs to go get some confidence back, and he's gotten a look at a lot of major league breaking pitches, and I don't think he got a hit on a breaking pitch his entire time that he was in the big leagues. So, he's obviously got some work to do, whether it's on pitch recognition or improving his strike zone or just his bat to ball skills on breaking pitches. And it's something he's done in the past. It's something that he knows he can do. His power is not prodigious, but it is functional, and it has served him well in the past. So he just needs to reset, get some confidence back, and there are worse places to do that than in the PCL.
So let me, go ahead, real quick, I just want to ask him this, Scopes, about Crawford. Now that he's back, where is he? Like, if he doesn't start hitting any more than he's hitting right now, might we see Estrada or Schmidt play short against even righties? Are they losing that much defensively anymore where they can have a guy that has a, $170 batting average and a 600 OPS in the lineup? Obviously, he still has a lot of respect in that clubhouse, and rightfully so, but you got to produce, and he knows that. How do you see that working itself out?
Yeah, it's everyone wants this to come in for a soft landing.
Sure.
It's Brandon Crawford. He's the last guy standing really from the title run, and he's the most decorated shortstop in franchise history. He means a lot to this organization, through and through, and I think that whatever they do, they're going to be as respectful about it as they can. And I think they also realize that maybe they can get a level of play that still exists in there. We saw it last year. We saw it last year in the second half after he had some time on the injured list. And if they have to step in and maybe say, look, we want your best 75 games that you can start from here on out. That's what we're in this for, and be ready to pinch hit maybe on some of the other days. Then maybe that'll work. I mean, it's certainly worked for Buster Posey. It's a different position, but they were very, very diligent about giving him the third day off all through 2021. It kept him fresh the whole year, kept him productive, and maybe that's where they are with Brandon Crawford. But you always have to have a fallback option. You always have to, if not A, then B. And for years and years and years, the Giants had no option B. I mean, he has not really had a solid backup shortstop. I mean, Joaquin Arias is maybe the closest guy you can point to.
Yeah.
But they've overplayed him. Bruce Bochy played Brandon Crawford into the ground some years because they just didn't have anyone. It was such a drop-off from him to the next guy. And maybe that's not the case for the first time in maybe Brandon Crawford's career. So, yeah, I do expect that his playing time will be curtailed, and they're not gonna frame it as a benching. They're gonna frame it more as a load management type thing, and they're not necessarily wrong about that.
I didn't expect Jeff Keppinger shade from you, Bags. I didn't expect it from you.
Jeff Keppinger, wow.
I was trying to tell you, I was like, who else is over there? Because you're right. Under Crawford, there's been almost nobody. He could probably play in the NBA for like 15 more years if he started now, because he'd play once a week, if that. Like the load management stuff is getting out of hand, but Crawford's out there daily, and it's going to be fun to see him out there. Casey Schmidt out there. We'll see what they can do defensively on the diamond as they're still getting tons of ground balls back. Thanks so much, man. Enjoy the 2 series this week, and we'll catch you next week, man.
Do have a lineup now if you want to hear it.
What do you got?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so Tyro's leading off as the DH today. It's interesting. Wilmer Flores at first base, Michael Conforto in right field, J.D. Davis at third, Mitch Haniger in left field, Brandon Crawford at shortstop, Casey Schmidt, as you said, at second base, Joey Bart behind the plate in the squat, as someone we know and love says, and Bryce Johnson is in center field behind Alex Wood.
Good deal. All right, Bags. We'll be watching the game, and we'll catch you later, man.
All right, take care.
Appreciate it.
Good stuff. Casey Schmidt, second base today. We'll get you the final thoughts as we get you ready for Giants and Phillies from Oracle Park. 6:45 first pitch. Pregame's coming up in about 10 minutes at 5:45. Tolbert and Copes only here on the Sports Leader.
Listen to the Sports Leader anywhere, anytime. Download the all-new KNBR app. Now, Tolbert and Copes continue live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Studio. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Giants-Phillies coming your way pregame in about 10 minutes here at 5:45. I forgot to tease this. I forgot we were even going to do this, Tom, with the conference finals starting tomorrow with the Western Conference Finals. We're going to get Harmony's hardwood picks. So I think Harmony is going to give us her picks for who she thinks is going to win between the Lakers and the Nuggets. And I'm like wary of what the team names are. The Heat and the Celtics. Heat, definitely she's going to get something out of that. Nuggets, I don't even know. I don't even want to begin to imagine where Harmony's going to go with Nuggets. But Harmony's
Nuggets?
Harmony's hardwood conference champions or conference finals picks for the NBA playoffs, which is going tomorrow. Tom, let's get your pick first. All right. Oh, smooth setup. Tom, you want to give us your pick first on the Lakers and the Nuggets? Are you as confident as Michael Thompson, the Lakers? I mean, he said like 6 or 7 times, like, well, when we beat the Nuggets and we'll face in the Heat in the finals, just automatically Celtics are out and Lakers are in.
Yeah, I'm going Nuggets there. Jokic has been just a monster. He's been so good. And they have home court advantage, too. And they have a great home court advantage in Denver. So this takes me back to the early 80s with Van de Wey, Alex English, T.R. Dunn. I mean, I don't know. Maybe T.R. Dunn wasn't on that team. Dan Issel.
English.
Those were some good Nuggets teams that could score a lot. Couldn't beat the Lakers, though. Will they beat the Lakers this time? Yes, they will beat the Lakers this time. Home court advantage. Best team in the West, wire to wire. Jokic is playing like an MVP in the playoffs. So I'm going Nugs.
How many games? 6?
I don't know.
I like the Lakers to get at least one. They're going to sweep them. I think 6 sounds pretty good.
6 sounds good.
I got to give Gavis and LeBron some credit. If they're going to play like that, if they're going to get support from Lonnie Walker and other guys are doing what they've been doing, Hashimura's got to have a big series, I think, for them off the bench. Schroeder got to stay on the court. Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Nuggets over the Lakers. I'll go with 6. So for those who don't know, Harmony, unlike the Shermanator, a sophisticated sex robot sent back in time to change the future for one lucky lady, Harmony is just a sex robot who likes to give betting advice. All right. Well, Harmony, inside and out of this series, who do you like between the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets? It's the 7 seed against the 1 seed. Who do you like?
During 4 games?
4 games.
She's got to be in a sweep. I don't know. When she says creamy nugget, sounds a lot better than when I say it.
It doesn't sound good when any of you say it, honestly. I don't enjoy it at any. It comes out of anybody. Eastern Conference Final. Again, logic tells me Miami should lose this series and Boston should win it handily. Boston has not. Stop it. Boston has not closed out teams. Really in any capacity at all this postseason. And Jimmy Butler's like that. He sort of illogically makes me think the Heat have a shot. I like Boston. I think I'm going Boston in 6. 5 wouldn't shock me.
I'm going Boston 5.
Okay.
I think Miami's run ends here. Celtics too good. We did see the Celtics have a couple clunkers against Philadelphia. They just didn't look ready, and the offense looked to go MIA. I'm gonna go Celtics in 5 to set up the Celtics and the Nuggets.
I like that too. And the only reason I would want the Lakers to get in, or if the Lakers got in, I would really want it to be Celtics, so that we'd get. That's the only scenario.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Only scenario in which I'm good with the Lakers winning over Denver is if we're getting Lakers Celtics. Harmony. Who do you have in the Eastern Conference? The 76ers and the Boston Celtics.
Got 2 sweeps.
She's just picking sweeps.
Just picking sweeps at 4 games.
Shave the beard. Don't forget, she was like super hot on Jokic in the first round. She's much bigger on Jokic than we heard her talk here.
Exactly.
Anyway, there's your Harmony's hardwood picks, and we'll get some NBA Finals picks from her for sure. As we'll get you ready for Giants and Phillies.
Thank you, Harmony.
All right,
appreciate it.
Yeah, all right, Harmony. Okay, that's going to do it, Tom. There's your hardwood picks for today.
Very good.
That's all I got.
I do like the, anybody that would, and these were all yo-yos anyway, to me. They were like questioning Joker's MVP legitimacy because he hadn't won a title before.
As if that's a qualifier.
This guy's crushing it. And if he crushes it this round against Anthony Davis, I don't care if he wins the finals or not. I mean, this guy's just showing everybody.
Yeah.
The ones that weren't paying attention, obviously, because the ones that were paying attention knew how good he was. But now that you're seeing him do it in the playoffs, just demolish teams, you realize how good this guy is. And when Murray plays well, and he's had a couple games where he hadn't been great, but he's been pretty consistent. Porter's the one, kind of the barometer on this team. Sometimes he's here, sometimes he's down here, sometimes he's up, sometimes he's down. When he's on, you forget about it. It's over. You're just not beating that team when he's like striping, five threes, hit 6 threes. He give you 20, 25 in a heartbeat. It's over. But I like the way Brown's been playing. KCP's been playing really, really well. Gordon's been playing really well for him too. So I just think they're going to be a little bit better. Wouldn't surprise if the Lakers won. That's not going to surprise me at all. I just think home court's going to mean something in this one, and it's going to be fun because Davis versus Jokic is going to be a really, really, really fun matchup.
LeBron Jokic, how he goes at him is going to be fun. How LeBron sort of navigates. I mean, LeBron, his smarts in a series are fun to watch. How he directs things, but that's going to be a big piece for them in the middle of that offense that LeBron's going to have to go at. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who guards Murray because he's bigger than Steph. So it's going to be harder to guard him with Schroeder, but they'll probably try with Schroeder, I would think, a little bit. And then Gordon will probably guard LeBron, I would think. I mean, he can guard Davis, but I would think you'll probably put him on LeBron. And then the guards will just match. I think if you're Denver, you probably just match up your guards with your guards and go that way. I don't know if there'll be a lot of cross-matching in this one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun. Anytime I get to watch Jokic play, I'm happy. He's fun to watch play, and he's playing at a super, super high level.
In a 7-game series.
Should we thank everybody?
We should.
Who do we have? Michael Thompson.
Yep. Great hit. Go find that on the app too. KNBR. Great fun conversation with him today.
Bags.
Yep.
And I don't know who.
Away, Bobby.
Well, Tim, if you're going to say Bobby Marks, don't say it like you're trying to spit it out before you're going to the electric chair. Bobby Marks. Thanks, Derek.
It's all right. I won't wet the sponge, Tom.
Yeah, not you, Tim. Take it away, Derek.
I love seeing you on camera, boys.
Oh, my God! Oh!